Equal opportunity lender. Member FDIC. Conditions apply.
IHOP now has buttermilk crispy chicken made with all-natural chicken breast and a signature blend of seasonings. Why am I running? Because IHOP now has buttermilk crispy chicken made with all-natural chicken breast and a signature blend of seasonings. Whoa! We're talking chicken sandwiches, chicken and waffles, even chicken and pancakes. But move it, Gray Van! IHOP has crispy chicken!
Run in to try IHOP's new buttermilk crispy chicken strips and pancakes for just $6.99. For a limited time, price and participating restaurants may vary.
Tropical storm Dorian is gathering strength, threatening a number of Caribbean islands. Forecasters say the storm could strengthen into a hurricane later this week, affecting Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. New charges against Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein back in court today. The disgraced Hollywood mogul facing 2 more counts now of predatory sexual assault. At least one of those involves Sopranos actress Annabella Shora. Fox News has learned that Shora testified in front of the grand jury, accusing Weinstein of raping her inside her New York City apartment in 1993. Shora was not one of the named accusers in the first or second indictment brought against Weinstein in Manhattan. Weinstein entered a plea of not guilty to the new indictments. He continues to deny all accusations of non-consensual sex. His attorneys call this latest move desperate and says it's an indication that there's a focus on obtaining a conviction at all costs rather than on seeking justice. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
A federal investigation is underway following accusations an American astronaut committed a crime while in orbit.
NASA astronaut Anne McClain is in the midst of a bitter divorce and child custody battle with her wife, a former intelligence officer with the U.S. Air Force. Now the wife, Summer Warden, is filing complaints with the Federal Trade Commission saying McClain accessed her bank accounts via computer without permission and did so while McClain was aboard the International Space Station. Warden was able to have the access tracked back to NASA computers. NASA has no comment. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Officials at the University of Nevada, Reno, facing a student housing crisis, have leased a downtown Reno casino hotel tower for a year, using it for college dormitories. The school scrambled to find rooms for 1,300 students after a July 5th gas explosion shut down 2 of its biggest residence halls. Rooms at the El Dorado Resort Circus are about a half mile from the main campus. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Whether it's for business or pleasure, staying connected when you travel is always essential. And now when you travel to South Korea, enjoy free data roaming with Docomo Pacific. Navigate the city, look up the best restaurants, email back home, or post all your pictures, all on the go for free. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your postpaid account is ready for roaming. You plus Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. See print ad for details.
Proline Automotive has everything to customize your whip. From custom wheels to Nankang tires or just hubcaps, they have it. Feel better that it's protected with a dash cover, car cover, seat covers, or floor mats. Visit Proline Automotive, located in Harmon Industrial Park.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Everybody's heard about the bird. The bird, bird, bird.
Circle K has a 3-pound rotisserie chicken, now available for the introductory price of $9.99. It's the biggest, tastiest, and most affordable rotisserie chicken of its kind on island. Save even more by getting a family meal with 2 sides and a bottle of wine for only $25.99. The Circle K rotisserie chicken. Get yours today. Circle K. Take it easy.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 6 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Some of the allegations made by Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority Executive Director Ray Tapazna of certain behind-the-scene deals at GURA, when he first led that agency several years ago, are now public. Tapazna filed a civil lawsuit alleging violations of the Federal False Claim Act in 2015. He sued certain members of GURA's board under Governor Eddie Calvo's administration and its then chairman, David Sablan. Portions of his allegations have now been made public after being kept under seal by court order since 2015. DePosna alleged in the once confidential documents that attorneys who once worked for Gura as legal counsel were also receiving payments as landlords to certain Gura clients under the Section 8 rent voucher program. One of the attorneys, Mark Smith, described in DePosna's lawsuit as a former brother-in-law of then-Governor Calvo, had faced federal charges on the same allegations. In November 2012, DePosna was forced to resign by the Gura Board of Directors, he alleges, after having blown the whistle on alleged conflicts of interest at Gura. He regained the job several months ago under the new administration of Governor Lou Leon Guerrero. The trial of two young men accused of attacking vehicles in Manila with machetes in June got underway in Superior Court yesterday. Jordan Rachulap is accused of terrorizing criminal mischief and aggravated assault. Emmanuel Resalap is charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, and terrorizing. He's accused of slashing his cousin, Urson Resalap, in the stomach with a machete. Then he and Rachulap are alleged to have run out to University Drive in Manila and thrown rocks at some vehicles and striking other vehicles with a machete. Chaos was the only way to describe the incident, said prosecutor Sean Brown during his opening statements yesterday. Former Senator Judy Gutherz was among those to testify. She said all of a sudden individuals came up to her car and started pounding on it. They were using machetes and throwing rocks, she said. Gutherz told the jury that they had terror in their faces and, in her opinion, they were out for blood. The trial continues today in Superior Court. More news after this.
Hey, do you know what time the bank closes? I need to deposit my check.
You know you can do that from your phone.
I can?
With Bank of Guam's mobile app, it's easy. Just endorse the back and snap a pic to deposit it into your account. You can do this from anywhere, anytime, which means no rushing to catch the bank and no lines.
With Bank of Guam's mobile app and online banking, we're always open. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Calaguan Hapa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mezcla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mezcla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mezcla, a true taste of Guam.
10 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. 33-year-old Gavin Regis Duenas was sentenced to 7 years, 3 months in federal prison yesterday after pleading guilty to attempted possession of 6 pounds of methamphetamine. According to his plea agreement, Duenas picked up 2 priority mail packages, each containing about 3 pounds of meth. Packages had already been intercepted by Drug Enforcement Agency officers who replaced the meth with a sham drug and planted a tracking device in the packages. Duenas told Chief District Court Judge Francis Tadinko Gatewood yesterday that he was sorry for his actions. "I know I'll never do something like this again," he said. An official from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services arrived at Guam Memorial Hospital yesterday to look at some documents and meet with some people there, according to GMH Administrator Lillian Perez Posadas. This was a surprise visit from CMS, as they always are, said Posadas. During an entrance conference yesterday morning, the CMS official told GMH officials that he was not conducting a revisit survey or a new site inspection survey. Posadas said that the CMS official was there by himself and he's looking into some GMH policies. Posadas said that she was concerned, but the CMS official did not explain what exactly he was looking for beyond what he said during the entrance conference. Last year, GMH was threatened with the loss of its accreditation by CMS following a site survey that identified 22 deficiencies. A corrective action plan was implemented and resolved all but 2 outstanding issues. In June, Posadas told the Guam Daily Post that CMS still had concerns about those 2 issues. However, Posadas declined to discuss the specifics at that time. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Chris Duenas and Michael Knight now with a look at our weather.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. And terrific Tuesdays. Or terrific Tuesday today, at
That's
least,
right.
Mike? Let's see if it's going to be terrific in weather. Expect a warm day ahead with improving weather conditions with scattered showers this morning, changing to isolated showers by this evening. Forecast is for mostly cloudy with scattered showers and then isolated thunderstorms this morning. Then isolated showers and thunderstorms by this afternoon. South to southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Highs around 89, lows near 78. Once again, good for the power bill. Aircon's not running too hard. This morning, the sun came up at 6:09, and sun will set tonight at 6:35. And now for Duke Skywalker, on the expanded weather is Michael Knight.
Thank you very much, sir. And we've got satellite showing right here. Most of the shower activity now to our north. Got a little bit down to the southeast, but it's petering out as we switch the diurnal cycle, and there's not a whole lot left down there. If you look at this radar picture real quick, and you'll see it also on satellite, looks like there's a little bit of a rotation in the signature there, and that really is indicative of the eastern end of this trough moving away. So it's passed to our north, and it's going to continue pulling off to the northwest and kind of fizzle out as they tend to do. Going over here to the satellite real quick, you can see that blobbage of clouds just up to our northwest, and yeah, it kind of looks disturbancy-ish, but it's not predicted to turn into anything, so it'll just kind of rain itself out in the trough over the next day or so. Over here, we have a tropical depression 13W. The Philippines has named this Jenny, and Jenny's going to move right on across Luzon fairly quickly, but bring them a lot of rain. So we just figured Ray brought it with him. So, that's fine.
Ray, they're going to blame you.
That's right.
We miss you.
Yeah, Philippines are used to it, though. Just real quick, we can see that Guam is right there, so the blobbage is all to our north for the most part. And so the Weather Service says we're looking at the possibility of scattered showers this morning, although when they do the morning update later on, I think they're going to pull back from that and just call isolated. There's just not a whole lot down to our southeast now, and I think things are going to really start to improve as we go through. But yesterday we were caught kind of by a surprise. We had a convergence of 2 or 3 different weather situations that came together for kind of the perfect storm scenario. And the Tizen office of the Weather Service actually set a rainfall record yesterday of almost 3 inches. So it really came down when it decided to actually fall.
It sure did, and I was like, definitely not cutting the grass this afternoon.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
Michael, I have a lot of friends in the tourism industry, particularly captains. How long do you think we're going to have these south-southeast winds? Guys down in Agate don't care for that too much.
Yeah, it appears that as this trough pulls away, it's still close enough that we're under some of that southeasterly influence. But you got to think that by tomorrow, winds should start coming back out of the east or northeast, and things should go back to kind of more of a trade wind pattern for the most part. Of course, that's subject to change at any minute because we are in the middle of tropical season.
This is August weather. All of us captains know August. So
That's
unpredictable,
right.
plenty of rain, and you're going to be working out of either Agate or Gatineau Boat Basin.
And the good news about it, at least on one end, is that the seas are really not very rough now compared to what they were earlier this month when we just could not get away from these hazardous waters. At least if you're going to go out, with the wind aside, at least the waves will be blessing you just a bit.
All right, my brothers and sisters, be careful out there, and that's news and weather.
65 years ago, Bank Pacific opened its doors to our community. As we celebrate, we offer you a special 65th anniversary personal loan rate for as low as 4.65% for travel, back to school, a wedding. Do whatever you want with the money. We just want to give it to you for as low as 4.65% APR. It's our birthday present to you.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal opportunity lender, member FDIC, conditions apply.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by my pals over at Ruby Tuesdays. It's Tuesday, and that means it's 2 for 1 Tuesday. You start with 2 endless garden bars. As I say, it's kind of an open bar thing. And then you get to choose either blackened tilapia, petite sirloin steaks, classic cheeseburger, half rack of ribs, chicken and broccoli pasta, yum, hickory bourbon chicken. So if all of that sounds good to you, you know what? You just go and you eat one, and we're going to eat another one. And that's how we do that. And then you choose a dessert to share. Your choices are New York cheesecake or a Frostbite double chocolate cake. One great price. All of that meal there, $29.99. Find that today at Ruby Tuesdays because it's Tuesday. Portions of the program also brought to you by American President Lines, global presence with a local home, and the guys over at Cars Plus who continue to celebrate the summer of Jeep. If you're going to be up on Route 8 today, take a couple of minutes and swing by, take a look at the parking lot, and see which Wrangler you want because they got plenty of them, and you can score one for 1.99% APR. Test drive one today at Cars Plus in Mighty.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Half a day and good morning. Welcome to the Tuesday edition, Terrific Tuesdays. Ray Gibson Show with Chris Duenas. And it could not happen at all without my good friend, Kevin. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Chris.
And Michael. Michael takes care of us. Half a day, Mike.
Word.
All right. Word. Bird is the word.
Bird is the word.
So is it Terrific Tuesdays today because of the Ruby Tuesday specials that we just heard Ray talk about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I thought I'd put something positive on the little greeting for everybody when they pop in there. You know, it's a terrific Tuesday, regardless of what the newspapers may say.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Michael. And so thanks a lot, guys. And we're going to go and make sure that, as I mentioned yesterday, I've learned in the year and so now listening to Ray on this show that basically, the interaction is really hot and heavy on Facebook. So we're going to say hello to our Facebook friends. And
sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. And they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see the troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
And I know the race is always for the top 10, so we're going to go ahead and check out the top 10. Who made the top 10 today? And then we'll talk about a few comments, and then we'll move into our discussion. Pat Norma Jean Flores, number 1. Lillian Cruz, number 2. Anita Muffness, number 3. Muhammad Bashir, number 4. Tom Tahaji, number 5. Pam Duvall, number 6. Ishmael Velez, number 7. Yochi Rengel, number 8. James Howard, number 9. John Duenas comes in at number 10. And the runner-up was Landon Nadler. I'm going to go ahead and say hi to John Ray Titano, too, because I know he's the Carabao man, and I dig that guy. Anyways, welcome aboard, Facebook friends. I'm going to read at least the comments that I can see once in a while. Pat Norma Jean Flores says, good morning. Morning to you. Pam Duvall says, morning all. Tom Tahaji says, good morning, everyone. And Muhammad, I'm not sure how long he's going to stay with us. He told us good night. So that's probably part of our international listening radio group because it's actually morning here. James Howard, yes, number 7. Number 9, Huffadades and Menagu from Benny St. Nicholas. James Howard says, yeah, once again, yes, 7 Howard 9. Let's see. Okay, so moving along. Thanks a lot, Facebook friends, for coming on board with us. And once again, I really love, our callers. Callers are king as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to start on my monologue in just a minute. But if you'd like to talk to us and call in on any subject and any direction that you'd like to take the show, I know sometimes the Facebook guests will come on and say, let's go this direction. So that's fine. 888-8255.
That's
Did I
right.
get it?
Yes,
okay, 888-TALK. That's what Kevin said to do. Just make it easy, Chris. So call us up, and we can talk about anything. I'm going to start this morning. Kevin, they made it to page 6.
Oh, they're on page 10, actually.
10?
Yeah, 10. They're going to start on the Department of Education, Chapter 2, page 10 today.
There we go. Can we get the cash register?
Yeah, they only got 130 more pages to go.
Only 130 more pages to go. So, I basically wanted to start on that one because 2 major events happened yesterday, and I like to say sometimes, I'm sure they were already thinking about it, Mike, but I like to say sometimes on the radio here, we have a little bit of influence, and I was really pleasantly surprised, although it was to appropriate excesses. But Senator Therese Terlahi kind of, I think, had the biggest moment yesterday. And then in the evening session, I think the biggest moment belonged to Senator Moylan. And we're going to try to talk to Senator Moylan in the 7 o'clock hour. But really, Therese Terlahi, I think, made a very sensible amendment. We talked yesterday in terms of when the budget, when the minority tried to originally through Senator Moylan, repeal the increase in the BPT. That failed, and he was ruled out of order. And so my suggestion yesterday was, why don't you start taking money that the government's share of last fiscal year's responsibility when there was a major shortfall was $30 million. And I was like, well, if we could have done that, if we did that in fiscal year 18, and fiscal year 19 now is supposedly closing with a surplus, then we should be able to get our money's worth if we can't repeal that 1%. And so my suggestion was take at least $30 million and lockbox it in the priority areas: education, public safety, healthcare, particularly the hospital. And so there hasn't been any moves to do that yet. Maybe there will be some today. But Therese Talahi, I think, made a very sensible recommendation. Looking at the tracking for fiscal year 19, I believe in several months, it started out at 24 million and then came down to about 18, and now it's about 14 million in terms of the tracking. And we're about a month away from closing the fiscal year for fiscal year 19. And so basically, it's still tracking a surplus. And so in that case, I think she was on point to say, let's take all of the potential surplus from fiscal year 2020, and let's take the income tax and the BPT, whatever would be in excess, and deposit into a lockbox account for the hospital. And, CMS is here. We can see that in the paper today. It is a surprise visit.
They always are.
As they always, it's out. Kevin,
yeah, CMS always never announces their visits ahead of time. They're always surprises.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So I guess even follow-ups, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So another surprise visit from CMS right now, and what Senator Talahi enumerated on the floor, and I thought it was a very, very solid argument. Basically she's like, in this budget, and she actually had a Facebook posting prior to the budget talk starting, talking about all the situations and the major capital improvement projects that are outstanding at the hospital, and there is nothing in this budget for that. There is nothing in this budget for the hospital in terms of the capital improvement projects. In fact, it is basically $28 million. I think it's even a little bit of a decrease from fiscal year 19. I think it was somewhere around 30 or so. And so she basically said, this is an absolute, basically an emergency with no plan. She talked about, the three critical issues. There's a laundry list for the hospital in terms of capital improvement projects. But she talked about, the top. When asked to break it down to the top three, the hospital basically said our leaky roof, our electrical panel, which basically was $6 million and now $10 to $11 million to be able to have to replace, and then they have to upgrade their computer system, and a lot of that has to do with CMS. That one, Kevin, is directly related to CMS because basically where the hospital is falling behind is really with all the new regulations with regard to charting. And a lot of the, most up-to-date medicine dispensaries and just all the technology that exists now in a hospital in terms of what it takes to take care of, patients. And so these things are all CMS related. And so I thought it was a very, very smart idea. One of the fun things, Mike, to watch on the floor, simply because I was there for 4 years, every time it seems like a senator would disagree but not want to be disagreeable, they do that in a form of an amendment that basically starts to dilute, the intent of what the amendment was. So there was a senator and a couple others that joined in on basically going in and amending it. So there was an amendment then to say lockbox for the hospital and education, and so. That was
Amanda Shelton's.
That's session floor gymnastics, and so essentially, really at the end of the day, really what it comes down to is what you end up doing, and I think Senator Talahi was right, is pitting one against the other, and the other part of it is what you do is you take a very limited pool of money potentially. Who knows? It may be 17, 20, 21. It may be nothing. But it could be upwards of between 15 and 20 million if you use the 14 million this year and how we're tracking in terms of a surplus. Then Senator Chalal, you mentioned we have the rainy day fund. You've already set that aside in this budget if any other emergencies came up. And if you didn't spend that money at the end of the fiscal year, there's your deficit reduction, because then that was another, acrobat on the floor for someone to say, oh, well, what are we going to do about deficit reduction? And so I think her closing was the one that basically, got me when she said, look, there was even a mention by some senators about how it's noble to do certain things. But I think what she was trying to say is this is not about being noble. This is about taking care of something that's actually an emergency and our only public hospital that takes care of everybody on Guam. And I've said this before, Kevin, as far as I'm concerned, on Guam, we have universal health care. It's called Guam Memorial Hospital. Because if you go in, that's the only place you're going to go to when you need care. And most of the time, it's emergent care. And when you go there and you walk out the door, they don't say, if you don't have a credit card in your hand or you don't have a cash in your pocket or a check to write, you walk out that door and hope to God someday, you can make a payment plan and pay them back. And that's one of the major reasons, of course, that we all know for the chronic situation that exists at the hospital. But good on you, Senator Therese Terlaje. Good on anyone who wants to lockbox funds for our priorities. If we're not going to get our 1% back, then at least spend money on the priorities. And I hope that can be shouted from the mountains and see if more amendments can go down that way. Another amendment that was proffered, and it's kind of along the same lines, but I think it's a little bit more unrealistic. On the liquid fuels tax, God bless him, talking about taking any excess on the Guam Highway Fund, to appropriate to roads, because we all know, and for those who are just joining us that don't understand the machinations of budgeting at the Guam legislature, the Guam Highway Fund, I think $9 or $10 million goes to UOG. A lot of brilliance over the years that took money away from the actual intent, which was roads. So now there's BBMR and the legislature, as far as they're concerned, Mr. Guerrero, they're not anticipating very much in terms of additional revenue from there. And that one got diluted again, too. So it went from non-routed roads to include routed roads to include flood mitigation. And it's good luck if the fund will probably even see maybe upwards of $1 million. I think the last estimate from Glenn at DPW was maybe a quarter mile for $1 million. So good luck with flood mitigation. Anyways, guys, there's $30 million additional in there. You don't need to try to appropriate additional revenues. Go in there, spend our 1% properly, spend it on priorities. That's my monologue. All right, Michael, are we going to the bottom news? And then we'll come back and get a hold of Facebook and see what's going on. Have a day, Kevin.
Have a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, the Boy Scouts of America have settled at least 44 of 113 child sex abuse lawsuits. The amount of the settlements has not been disclosed. Settlement and dismissal motions were filed in district court yesterday by attorneys Michael Berman on behalf of his clients, the plaintiffs, and attorney Patrick Seville, who represents the Boy Scouts. In each case, the plaintiffs had alleged that they were sexually abused by the late Louis Brouillard during Boy Scout outings and meetings. Brouillard served as a priest and scoutmaster on Guam for more than 40 years. According to the settlement documents, if no settlement had been reached, Seville and Berman both agreed that the Boy Scouts had a strong likelihood of success and ultimately would have refuted the abuse accusations. Seville stated that many of the claims are more than 40 years old and did not specifically identify witnesses or provide any evidence that the Boy Scouts were aware of the alleged abuse. In district court yesterday, Timothy Roque Cepeda was sentenced to 15 months in a federal prison for failing to register as a sex offender on Guam. Cepeda returned home to the island from California in May of last year after 38 years away. He is 57 years old. 18 years ago, Cepeda was convicted in California of committing lascivious acts with a 12-year-old girl. He spent 3 years in prison in California. Upon his release in 2004, he had to register as a sex offender in that state, but when he came back to Guam last year, he did not register here as required by law. Cepeda apologized to the judge, to the people of Guam, and to his family, some of whom were in the court yesterday for his sentencing. Cepeda's name has now been added to the Guam Sex Offender Registry. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero left for Japan on Sunday to meet with key Japanese travel and government leaders. The trip is being paid for by the Guam Visitors Bureau. First Gentleman Jeffrey Cook is among the 14-member delegation. The Guam Police Department assigned one officer to provide security to the governor during the trip. Funding for the trip was authorized by the Guam Visitor Bureau Board at its June 13th meeting. The estimated cost for the trip is about $53,990. At that board meeting, GVB President and CEO Pilar Laguana said the trip would be the first official introduction of Guam's new leadership to key travel and government partners in Japan. The governor is due back on island Wednesday evening. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
News time on 93.3 The Point is 6:34.
And that's iConnect time, something to make your mouth water, too. Swing by the nearest iConnect. Ask them about great rates and prices on mobile and internet plans for 2019.
Coast 360 introduces our new youth banking program. Give your kids and teens a head start with Kids 360 and Teen 360, a program designed to help your child develop smart financial habits and learn about money. Introduce them to banking and get them on a path towards a thriving financial future. Plus, new youth members get a special lunch tote just in time for back to school, while supplies last. Learn more at coast360fcu.com or visit your favorite member center. Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
It's time for Wendy's Bacon Fest. Yes, the place that brought you the Baconator, the place that sells more bacon cheeseburgers than anyone else probably on the planet, is making all your Applewood smoked dreams come true. Try the all-new bacon jalapeno cheeseburger or the bacon double stack in the $5 biggie bag. Get yours now at Wendy's for Bacon Fest.
Hulu is all your TV in one place, plus more. Watch thousands of hit shows, movies, and award-winning Hulu originals for only $5.99 per month. It's TV without the cable contract and the freedom of on-demand streaming. Get current network shows from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and binge-watch every season of your favorite cable shows. Premium Hulu viewing is brought to you by Proline Automotive and AB Sports, Guam's store for Nike. To advertise on Hulu, call Choice Digital at 989-0042.
Half a day in right now traffic. Basically looking pretty light out there. It looks like going into Ukudu High School on Route 3. Please be careful. Looks like that's backing up. That's kind of normal for this time of the morning. It looks like also the 1 and 3 leading into Route 3 there is a little bit backed up. And kind of the hot spot on our gizmo too is the Micronesia Mall 81016. Actually, that would be the Barragata 81016. And that's pretty typical. It looks like the airport is kind of starting to back up a little bit too on that thoroughfare that they use going to cross over. And that's right now traffic on the point.
This is Ronnie. Ronnie is about to break his piggy bank.
Come on, piggy bank.
Ronnie wants to upgrade his smartphone.
And this piggy's gonna help me.
If Ronnie had signed up for GTA's handset payment option, he could have selected a new smartphone with an affordable monthly plan.
I could have what?
Exactly. Sign up for HBO at GTA and don't break the bank.
I'm sorry, piggy bank.
Terms and conditions apply. GTA, we start with you.
Are you ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your NFL fix every Friday on Sports with Blake. Be a part of the action by going to yahoo.com's Fantasy Sports Pro Football Pick'em. Join League 3384 with the password Ray Gibson. Choose your team name and get your game on. Winners get a chance to win some awesome prizes that get you through the NFL season. The NFL Picks on the Ray Gibson Show is brought to you by Current Guam.
The Ray Gibson Show, bringing you closer to the action. This is The Point, Guam's FM News Talk Superstation.
Half a day and welcome back to the Ray Gibson Show. Chris Duenas sitting in for Ray, having a good time over there in Manila. Probably a lot of indoor good time stuff, I would think, huh? Like Michael said, he kind of drugged that storm over there with him. I hope he did good in his race. Hope he's recuperating at this time. I'm sure he is.
Yeah, he picked up, what was it, 200,000 pesos, which is about $4,000.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was very good. He did well.
He won $4,000?
Yeah.
Holy cow, yeah. Raymond, you paid for your vacation.
That's right.
Facebook, Ray's having a good time. I hope you're having a good time with me as well. Right back here with Mike and Kevin, and going back to the Facebook, it's Frisky. There's a lot of conversations going on in there. I'm just going to leave some of them alone. But Ishmael Valdez says, you mean the governor will be back on island when no decisions are required to be made? Okay. Indoor activity, Chris Abalencia. But, Ishmael, she promised to cut back. Ishmael Velez, he is hot on this today. It's like saying any decision made on this subject is not good for our people. I'm not around when the decision is to be made. Then I can say at re-election time that I didn't make a decision, and I was against it. Okay, Frisky folks, Mark Cruz is clapping. Half a day, Mark. How you doing? And I'll get to the other ones that I missed as it goes along. Mark, I hope you're having a good day. Hope business is good. God bless you all. So getting back to kind of trailing off of my monologue, one of the other things, Mike, that I read, the other day, and you might have seen this too, Kevin, in the PDN, was an opinion that basically kind of took Mike St. Nicholas to task a little bit on his proposed amendment to the Organic Act to ensure that that tax refund account amounts of money are remitted, as designated by law. And, I'm going to go ahead and agree a little bit on that one for now. And I know our listeners, and I'll probably get it on Facebook for this, but, the Organic Act is a very, very special document. I mean, that's our Constitution, Kevin. And, to me, I think, when we go in there, we really shouldn't be trying to do things that we should be able to handle ourselves. We should go in there, if we wanted to amend it, for some major federal issue, that's facing us that we want to change. I know it'll never happen, but something as big as immigration, something as big as being part and a bigger part of the compact negotiation, sitting at the table. Now, if compact's going to be renegotiated, something that says in our Constitution, because of these agreements, these lateral agreements that are being made between two independent nations that affect Guam, Guam should have a say. It should have a seat at the table. That's the kind of thing that I see. We should use the very, very, that very, very important, tool to amend the Organic Act. Something that is really about the reaches that high level of government, transformation. If you agree or disagree, give us a call, 888-8255. I actually prefer if you disagree. But, Kevin, the reason why I hearken that in the PDN opinion, it basically says make Guam's law tougher, put penalties in, do things that basically you have control over. And I remember, I think this was it was passed into law. I remember I think it was the first term of Public Auditor Doris Flores Brooks, first or second term when that office was created. There was placed into law quarterly reports that were required. It was kind of the age of beginning the I think it's 27th, 28th Guam legislature. It was kind of the age of holding government directors and holding the executive branch accountable to reporting to the legislature. And then because the public auditor's office was created, it was holding accountable to the public auditor in terms of the kind of documentation and information that she needed to make sure that you were tracking fiscally within your department, that you were spending the money properly. And a lot of this had to do with also the fact that, we had a lot of issues, and we still have a lot of issues sometimes when it comes to reporting for our federal grants, making sure that we applied by the conditions and the terms on our federal grants. So what the public auditor and what the senators wanted to do at the time was they wanted to ensure that that you almost implemented in the government of Guam, or you did mirror and implement in the government of Guam, the federal model of reporting and having to report. And so in doing so, the directors had to file these quarterly reports, and it was very specific in terms of the financials, and and so basically, if a director did not report, they up to 10% of their salary in fines could be garnished. And I can tell you, Kevin, because I was a director at the time, none of our cabinet missed those requirements.
Enforcement.
That's
the key.
And another thing, which was, Governor Camacho at the time and Lieutenant Governor Moylan, another thing is, if you were going to miss one or more of those reports, there's a certain letter that most directors should keep in their desk.
What? The resignation letter?
So if you got a call from the chief of staff that said, "Hey, Chris, is that letter on the top of your desk in the right-hand shelf there, is that readily available?" And
you never got that call though, did you?
No, I didn't. But
you know some who have, huh?
I know some who have, and maybe I'll have to come clean. Maybe I got a call once in a while from a deputy chief of staff, and that's how that works in the cabinet too. Sometimes the deputy chief of staff will call up and say, "I'm calling to let you know this issue exists, and I'm also calling to let you know you don't want to get a call from the chief of staff."
The warning call.
That's the warning call, yeah. But anyways, I mean that was I'm sure by now basically what has happened is most of those reports are basically just generated now, because that was the beginning of the implementation of that, and that was one of the inaugural big rollouts from then Auditor Doris Flores Brooks to say, in order to get a handle on a lot of what's going on. And got to remember, one of the reasons why, and I thought it was brilliant on her part too. One of the reasons why the public auditor at the time, Doris Flores Brooks, the reason why she went in that direction too was because not all government agencies have federal grants. And so if you're not managing federal grants and you got your own revenue and you're kind of like, you know what I mean, kind of like you don't have that intensity in terms of having the government breathing down your neck, and you might lose $1 million in federal funding if you don't get this report in on time. Maybe you don't have as much urgency within your agency to be able to to worry about whether or not your fiscal house is in order on a quarterly or even a daily basis. So that was the way that went. And so I agree with the PDN when they come out and they basically say, put more teeth, in the law. Put more penalties before we go to a drastic action, such as trying to, amend the Organic Act. Once again, I'm just going to say that I think that amending the Organic Act should be a very, very done
sparingly.
Sparingly, yeah. And also done for things that are really, really rise to that type of necessity. So anyways, going back to Facebook, good afternoon from Vancouver, Washington. Hey, our international radio listening audience is here. Chris, Kenna McAlson is saying that. Benny St. Nicholas, no office, Chris, but how can it be made our Constitution when even the Organic Act isn't even ours, but that of the federal government? Okay. Ishmael Velez, her promises are like pony dogs. They're all over the place and nothing is done about them. Denise Legaspi, how about enforce the laws on the books before making more? Exactly, Denise. That's where I was going. So what else do we got this morning? You know, the tax, and that was about the tax refund account. We did Senator Therese Talahi. Excess revenue from BPT, that was with Therese Talahi as well. Has anybody been paying attention? I guess the editorial yesterday kind of led to this. I don't think that party up at Government House on Friday night was a secret for too long. Did you see that, Kevin?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we sent a photog up there to take some pictures.
Oh, yeah. I heard there were pictures circulating on Facebook, and I think I named it in my notes, Partygate.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know,
good time was had by all.
Good time was had by all, but you know, the biggest thing there, once again, going back to accountability, going back to where the funds are coming from. You know, I once again in my prior life, I was handed, Kevin, I call this, I was handed the golden key, the golden summer key.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Opened what door?
The golden summer key, and that's when you do get I don't know by the chief, but you do get a call from the front office saying, guess what? We've given you the golden key to Agana for the month of July. And that is, you have now been, adorned with the responsibility of Liberation Day festivities.
Ooh, that's a big job.
It's a big job, and so, but the government, the cabinet, really. I mean, you do have the full resources of the cabinet, and I think that was used well in this last 75th celebration. I got to, before kind of riffing on the issue, I got to say that the festivities were wonderful. The parade was excellent. I mean, it lived up to the 75th. All
the hype.
All the hype and what the 75th deserves in terms of, honoring that, that marker in terms of the year. But, the situation, and it kind of looks similar to what happened to me. The situation looks like they are, at least for now, they're still working the books, but they're 100,000 plus in the hole. And
as of the end of July, but they're hoping to make more money. They're selling the 75th Liberation books for $45 a piece.
$45
on sale at the Guam Museum.
Okay, so those of you planning to last-minute vacation towards the end of the summer here, eking out all of the last of summer, maybe going into what they call in the States sometimes Indian summer, heading out in September. If you're going to go to the States and or anywhere you're going and you're going to visit family, then basically maybe you want to pick up one of those commemorative books to give to your family. Not a bad gift idea.
But they're tearing down the House of Cards. How much is that going to cost?
I saw that one, too.
I mean, how much did it cost to build it in the first place? And then they kept it there even though they couldn't do anything in it. And then they finally got the chance to do something in it and did something and said, okay, well, now we're just going to, well, that had to be at least $100,000 to put it together.
I think it came up right around there. Yeah, I think it was 100,000 plus. I know that when the House of Cards folded, during that year when gambling was prohibited, there was the vendor was in serious hawk for that, and I think the Mayor's Council was at the point where they were trying to unload it as well before there was a change in the law this year and they were able to use it. But yeah, so when I was given my golden key, I actually had somewhere around there. I think I had it was a little bit over that actually. It was about 110,000. And here's where I wanted to kind of, during the Camacho administration, we had games of chance, but there was no gambling. There was no cockfighting and no gambling. And so I was really surprised when the games of chance and that issue came up, and there was a push for gambling so hard. And this is why, during that year, because of that expense, there was kind of a push for gambling, and Governor Camacho said, no, this is my commitment, and I'm not having it. So that year, I was amazed. The first bids on the games of chance, Kevin and Mike, when the first opening, that night we had bids in for $475,000. So games of chance, even those games, are bid very, very high. And that didn't include the, the food vendors and all the other side games and everything else. So we were able to finish that year. I think we were probably, the first thing I did was extinguish that past due, of course. And then we were able to eke out maybe a $10,000 or $11,000 profit. And the First Lady, had the honors of being able to, distribute those resources. I think she did something with the schools or something with school books or the kids, something involving our children. And so I knew at the time that when the hard sell and the push for the casino was there, in order to have a good time at Liberation, it does not require a casino. But the games of chance have to be there.
Yeah, I agree.
And those, the pay red, and all those other things. And so, yeah, we...
well, the simple carnival games that one expects at a carnival.
Sure. Absolutely.
Simply put. The whole gambling thing kind of caught me by surprise because everywhere else I have lived, gambling is illegal. So you never had gambling at state fairs and these kinds of commemorative events. And so when it all went down here, it was like, well, this is interesting to see how this is going to go. And it has been, at the very least, interesting.
Yeah, it has been interesting. And it's interesting, too, because talking about our friend Senator Moylan, I mean, he introduced a couple of bills this year also to actually increase a fund that I created that Ray and I talked about a couple of weeks ago, the Limited Gaming Fund. I've always been against gambling, and I don't gamble, and I've always been against it for on our island. That's just my personal position. But the thing is that my thought was, if we have it, we better at least tax it for the benefit of our people.
Oh, absolutely. There's no point in having it unless you're going to make money off of it.
Absolutely. When one of the things was the bingo, it really basically is our own form of lottery. We all know what lotteries do in the States. I mean, those big big box lotteries. I mean, they generate millions and millions of dollars for community benefit. Primarily, most of that goes into education. Goes into funding schools, funding activities, for the youth and other, really critical issues. So in some jurisdictions, when I was doing my research, they used a lot of that money for medical as well, hospitals and other, medical needs, homeless and other programs such as that. And I believe that's basically what, what Senator Moylan wanted to do by basically taking the current limited gaming fund, and I think he wanted to triple it.
Just got a message from Senator Moylan. He said he's going to call in about 7:30.
All right. Senator Moylan, welcome aboard. Thank you. We really appreciate having you. And I'm going to talk about, your amendment last night. You finally got it voted on. Kevin, it probably didn't make it to news time. Yeah, you guys go to print probably, when those guys go back in at 7 or after 7. So breaking news on the point, stuff that will probably show up in the news tomorrow in terms of Senator Moylan's failed amendment. But I want to tell you, I'm glad he put the effort in. Kevin, I'm glad he finally got the vote on it. And we'll go down the list in the next hour. But I was pleasantly surprised that it was bipartisan. There were 2 Democrats that joined the 4 Republicans. It was bipartisan in both directions, though, Kevin. One of the Republicans voted yes. So I guess both sides could claim a victory of it being bipartisan. But what I liked about what Senator Moylan was doing with this one was, and Darryl talked about this yesterday a little bit. Being realistic, other than moving money towards priorities, because I think our people are never going to argue about that. If other areas are short, there's always a 15%. I don't care what administration is in. The first thing that they do when they open the books on the fiscal year is lock down 15% of that money to control the agencies from spending. So there is going to always be a significant reserve built in to allotment control and the like. So, I know enough about it to know that there's pretty much always money stashed away somewhere.
Right. The legislature went late last night, nearly to 8 o'clock. The vote was 6-4 in favor of overruling Finance Committee Chair Senator Sam Augustine's ruling that the Moylan Amendment was out of order. 7 voted against it, so it was defeated. But those who voted in favor of rolling back the BBT were Senator Castro, Senator Moylan, Senator Munya, Vice Speaker Nelson, Senator Taitigui, and Senator Terlahi.
Yep, so Senator Terlahi and Senator Nelson joined the Republicans on this one.
Right, but 7 voted against it, so it was defeated.
Absolutely. But what I was saying was I did like the fact that, Senator Moylan is like, I couldn't get it done, I couldn't get it done in terms of the, for this fiscal year. But what he did on that one, Kevin, was he put it, to commence in the 2021 budget. And, at this point, I think that's very responsible. I mean, that gives the government time to get serious about reorganization, to get serious about generating additional revenue, doing more, to make it easier for businesses and to make it easier for our community, to generate revenue, to make Guam more attractive for more investment, and to do things on the other side, because it's not just all about cutting. Budgeting really is, projection, collection, and economic development. I mean, those are the fundamental tools of budgeting. And so economic development always has to be part of the equation. But at this point, we've demonstrated year over year that we got to bring government spending under control. And so in that light, I applaud Senator Moylan's efforts. I think he's onto something. I'm glad he's been like a pit bull on this issue. And we're going to look forward to talking to him and see what other things that he may have coming in the future. But for now, we're going to the top of the hour. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on The Point. We'll talk to our Facebook friends. We'll have news. We'll have weather. We're just going to have a whole bunch of fun. Stick with us. This is The Point.
You're listening to KUSG Hagadnya.
I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Before leaving the G7 summit in France, President Trump voiced support for a possible meeting with Iran's president. Fox's Jared Halpern joins us live from Washington.
French President Emmanuel Macron says Iranian President Hassan Rouhani and President Trump could meet in a matter of weeks. President Trump did not announce anything as yet scheduled, but says he is willing to work out a new nuclear deal with Iran.
I really believe that Iran can be a great nation. I'd like to see that happen. But they can't have nuclear weapons.
Iran's foreign minister met with Macron at the G7 summit in France this weekend. President Trump did not attend that meeting, but says he would meet with Rouhani if circumstances were correct. Rich.
Jared, a pharmaceutical giant ordered to pay more than $500 million in Oklahoma for its role in the nation's opioid problem. Fox's Gernal Scott joins us live.
Rich District Judge Thad Balkman ruled today that Johnson & Johnson bears responsibility for misleading marketing when it came to opioids,
including a finding that those actions compromised the health and safety of thousands of Oklahomans.
Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter called it a just verdict and monetary judgment against the company's actions,
leading to the worst man-made public nuisance our state and this country has ever seen.
Johnson & Johnson denies it misled anyone and plans to appeal, but the ruling is expected to resonate in states with high opioid death rates. Rich.
Gernal, federal prosecutors say the man accused of killing 11 people in a Pittsburgh synagogue will face the death penalty if convicted. The U.S. Attorney's Office today filing notice to seek the death penalty against 46-year-old Robert Bowers. He's accused of targeting worshipers in the Tree of Life synagogue last October, opening fire with an AR-15 rifle. America is listening to Fox News.
65 years ago, Bank Pacific opened its doors to our community. As we celebrate, we offer you a special 65th anniversary personal loan rate for as low as 4.65% for travel, back to school, a wedding. Do whatever you want with the money. We just want to give it to you for as low as 4.65% APR. It's our birthday present to you.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal opportunity lender, member FDIC, conditions apply.
World Theater Productions presents Mamma Mia at the UOG Calvo Fieldhouse on September 6, 7, and 8. See local and international artists in the biggest on-stage party of the season.
Half a day. This is AJ Raphael.
And Didi Magno Hall. Come and see us in Mamma Mia.
Also presented by Dusatani Guam Resort, Outrider Guam Beach Resort, and the Plaza Shopping Center. Get your tickets now at WTPGuam.com, GNC, and 76 Circle K.
Before leaving the G7 today, President Trump expressed optimism about renewed trade talks with China.
President Trump saying Chinese officials called U.S. negotiators yesterday.
And they want to get something done. Now, maybe it won't get done, but this is the first time I've seen them where they really do want to make a deal. And I think that's a very positive step.
The president saying serious negotiations on trade will begin soon.
Fox's Simon Owen reporting from the G7. President Trump today dismissing concerns about climate change at the summit in France, saying the U.S. has tremendous wealth from its energy production.
I'm not going to lose that wealth. I'm not going to lose it on dreams, on windmills, which, frankly, aren't working too well.
The president skipped a session on climate change earlier today at the summit. A shocker for fans of the Indianapolis Colts just before the NFL season starts.
Just weeks before the start of the NFL season, Indianapolis Colts quarterback Andrew Luck abruptly retired this weekend. He said the unrelenting cycle of injury, pain, rehab for the last 4 years made the 29-year-old feel stuck in season and off.
It's taken my joy of this game away.
The news of Luck's retirement had a seismic effect on the Colts' odds to win the Super Bowl. Colts fans booed him when the news broke at Saturday's preseason game.
I'd be lying if I didn't say I heard the reaction. Yeah, it hurt.
What doesn't hurt? The Colts will allow Luck reportedly to keep nearly $25 million in bonuses the team could have asked for back. Jared Max, Fox News.
Putting small containers of liquids in plastic bags could be a thing of the past soon for airline passengers in Britain after the government announced plans to introduce 3D screening for carry-on bags at all major airports. Those screeners are already in trials at London's Heathrow Airport, and they say will be eventually rolled out to other British airports. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Hafa, this is Robert Underwood. Chamorro self-determination is the belief that the native people of Guam deserve the opportunity to express their preference for the future political status of Guam. Since the Spanish arrived and the U.S. acquired Guam in 1898, the Chamorro people have never had the chance to formally express their preference for the island's future. Supporting self-determination is something all of us who love Guam and understand its history can support. This is why I invite all of you, regardless of your background or politics, to come out on September 2nd, 8 a.m. at Adelup for Fanohgi, March for Chamorro Self-Determination. This will be a peaceful and lawful walk from Adelup to the district court. All are welcome, and it will be great for families and friends to bring signs and show their support for Chamorro self-determination. Its time has come.
7 o'clock news from the Guam Daily Post is being brought to you by Proline Automotive, customizing Guam's finest rides, located in the Harmon Industrial Park.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 7 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The trial of two young men accused of attacking vehicles in Manila with machetes in June got underway in Superior Court yesterday. Jordan Rachalap is accused of terrorizing, criminal mischief, and aggravated assault. Emmanuel Rachalap, charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, and terrorizing. He's accused of slashing his cousin Ursin Rachalap in the stomach with a machete. Then he and Rachalap are alleged to have run out to University Drive in Manilao and thrown rocks at some vehicles and striking other vehicles with a machete. Chaos was the only way to describe the incident, said prosecutor Sean Brown during his opening arguments yesterday. Former Senator Judy Gutherts was among those to testify. She said, all of a sudden, individuals came up to her car and started pounding on it. They were using machetes and throwing rocks, she said. Gutherts told the jury they had terror in their faces and, in her opinion, they were out for blood. The trial continues today in Superior Court. Some of the allegations made by Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority Executive Director Ray Tapazna of certain behind-the-scenes deals at GURA, when he first led that agency several years ago, have now become public. Tapazna filed a civil lawsuit alleging violations of the Federal False Claim Act in 2015. Tapazna sued certain members of GURA's board under Governor Eddie Calvo's administration and its then-chairman David Sablan. Portions of his allegations have now been made public after being kept under seal by court orders since 2015. Tapazna alleged in the once confidential documents that attorneys who once worked for GURA as legal counsel were also receiving payments as landlords to certain GURA clients under the Section 8 rent voucher program. One of the attorneys, Mark Smith, described in Tapazna's lawsuit as a former brother-in-law of then-Governor Calvo, had faced federal charges on the same allegations. In November 2012, Tapazna was forced to resign by the GURA board of directors, he alleges, after having blown the whistle on alleged conflicts of interest at GURA. Tapazna regained the job several months ago under the new administration of Governor Lou Leon Guerrero. We'll have more news after this.
Proline Automotive has everything to customize your whip. From custom wheels to Nankang tires or just hubcaps, they have it. Feel better that it's protected with a dash cover, car cover, seat covers, or floor mats. Visit Proline Automotive, located in Harmon Industrial Park.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
10 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. The Boy Scouts of America have settled at least 44 of 113 child sex abuse lawsuits. The amount of the settlements has not been disclosed. Settlement and dismissal motions were filed in district court yesterday by attorneys Michael Berman on behalf of his clients, the plaintiffs, and attorney Pat Seville, who represents the Boy Scouts. In each case, the plaintiffs allege they were sexually abused by the late Louis Brouillard during Boy Scout outings and meetings. Brouillard served as a priest and scoutmaster on Guam for more than 40 years. According to the settlement documents, if no settlement had been reached, Seville and Berman both agreed that the Boy Scouts had a strong likelihood of success and ultimately would have successfully refuted the abuse accusations. Seville stated in court documents that many of the claims are more than 40 years old and did not specifically identify any witnesses or provide any evidence that the Boy Scouts were aware of the alleged abuse. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero left for Japan on Sunday to meet key Japanese travel and government leaders there. The trip is being paid for by the Guam Visitors Bureau. First Gentleman Jeff Cook is among the 14-member delegation. The Guam Police Department assigned one officer to provide security to the governor during her visit to Japan. Funding for the trip was authorized by the Guam Visitors Bureau Board at its June 13th meeting. The estimated cost for the trip, $53,990. At that board meeting in June, GVB President Pilar Laguana said the trip would be the first official introduction of Guam's new leadership to key travel and government partners in Japan. Governor is due back on the island Wednesday evening. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Chris and Mike now with a look at weather.
Okay, if you're heading out on the road this morning, stepping out the door in a little while, expect a warm day ahead with improving weather conditions with scattered showers this morning, changing to isolated showers by this evening. The forecast calls for mostly cloudy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms this morning, then isolated showers and thunderstorms by afternoon. South to southeast winds notice to captains at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Highs around 89, lows near 98. Great for the aircon and power bill. Your sun rose today at 6:09. Your sun is going to set tonight. Hopefully a sunset we will have at 6:35 p.m. And that's news with Kevin and weather now in the expanded view with Mike, also known as Deep Sky Tucker.
There we go. And check the radar real quick here, and we can see those south and southeasterly winds in the flow signature of the radar here. Looks like a bit of a line developing. It's a very thin line developing off to our east. That may slide on through in the next few hours, but it doesn't look like there's much rain with that. After the day we got yesterday, which the Weather Service actually set a record of 2.93 inches at the Teason offices. That was a daily record. Looks like we could use a break from the rain. It'll be slow in coming because we're expecting some of these showers to move through this morning and things, and then things should start to dry out a little bit by this afternoon. Let's go ahead and switch over to the satellite picture. We see tropical depression Jenny. It's over by the Philippines. It's going to keep moving over there and give Ray some more rain. And we see this weak trough situation off to our northwest. Let me go ahead and hold on. I got to find this. But there's the Guam pointer. So there we are, right by the arrow. Lots of blobbage off to our north, but that's a good, sure indication that the trough has indeed pulled to our north now. And so things should start drying out for us, at least in the short term, over the next couple of days. But there may be some more rain coming back for us next week. So we'll have to see how that goes.
You know, Mike, we have to enjoy this, though, because this was a drought year.
Yeah, it was. The first few months were just unbelievable.
I'm sure our aquifer, Kevin, is going right on. Replenish me.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I was looking at the the year-over report. I think we're only up to around 50 inches. And normally, for the year, we would be well over 100, maybe 120. Mm-hmm. So we're only halfway there, and it's the end of August.
Yeah.
So everybody out there, thank God for this rain. I didn't have to cut as much grass during dry seasons.
There you go. Yeah, it doesn't grow very much. The good news is that we did catch up in a very quick way.
Yeah.
Because we've gotten most of this rain just this month alone, because last month we had nothing. And then again with another 3 inches at the airport yesterday. Now the thing we're having to watch out for are saturated grounds. So when we get the heavy rain, it just runs right off, carries all the mud and debris and other things with it. So, and of course street flooding and other things. So just remember that if you get caught in a heavy shower. Probably going to be some ponding on the roads, hydroplaning, that sort of thing. Got to drive to those conditions.
Sounds good. Drive safely out there. Enjoy the rain. Jerry Roberts has arrived. Jerry in the house. And we'll go to our break now.
This is Ronnie. Ronnie is about to break his piggy bank.
Come on, piggy bank.
Ronnie wants to upgrade his smartphone.
And this piggy's gonna help me.
If Ronnie had signed up for GTA's handset payment option, he could have selected a new smartphone with an affordable monthly plan.
I could have what?
Exactly. Sign up for HBO at GTA and don't break the bank.
I'm sorry, piggy bank.
Terms and conditions apply. GTA, we start with you.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show brought to you by my pals over at Ruby Tuesdays. It's Tuesday, and that means it's 2 for 1 Tuesday. You start with 2 endless garden bars. As I say, it's kind of an open bar thing. And then you get to choose either blackened tilapia, petite sirloin steaks, classic cheeseburger, half rack of ribs, chicken and broccoli pasta, yum, hickory bourbon chicken. So if all of that sounds good to you, you know what, you just go and you eat one, and we're going to eat another one, and that's how we do that. And then you choose a dessert to share. Your choices are New York cheesecake or a Frostbite double chocolate cake. One great price. All of that meal there, $29.99. Find that today at Ruby Tuesdays, because it's Tuesday. Portions of the program also brought to you by American President Lines, global presence with a local home, and the guys over at Cars Plus who continue to celebrate the summer of Jeep. If you're going to be up on Route 8 today, take a couple of minutes and swing by. Take a look at the parking lot and see which Wrangler you want, because they got plenty of them, and you can score one for 1.99% APR. Test drive one today at Cars Plus in Mighty.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-8255.
Okay, like I said, Jerry Roberts in the house, and we're going to do the market report first. S&P rebounding 2878, 32 points up. NASDAQ also up 101, almost 102 points. Dow Jones Industrial Average also up almost 270 points. And let's see, I'm going to talk to Jerry about this. The FTSE down about 33 points. Nikkei down 449 points. The Hang Seng Index down 499. Oil today trading on the U.S. market 53.80. What's going on with Tapas, Kevin?
Don't have the price yet. It hasn't come up yet. Sorry.
Jerry, should we make it up again?
Make it up again.
It was around
63 yesterday. Or Friday.
Yeah, it was around 63 yesterday. That's what
Bitcoin's holding up a little bit today, $10,230.60.
Okay. So, in the era of Trump, Jerry, I gotta.
I'm trying to find headphones. Go ahead. We'll figure it out. Go ahead.
In the era of Trump, I'm sure it's. I perused your article today. I don't think it's about what I'm about to ask you. Managing chaos. I'm sure you've had pointers on that. What is your pointer on managing chaos?
Managing chaos. Take a breath. Okay. Drop back 15 yards. Punt. Would that work?
See? And you're excellent, because what's coming up in the next hour? Sports with Blake. So you just gave a great sports segue for the next hour. But yeah, I think that what I've been watching when I woke up this morning and watching the market channel, basically it's easing tensions on renewing possible talks with China and the U.S. And it's basically an effort to get in there and calm things down, and calm and steady is where it is. What I've been watching, and of course I'm not a big market guy, but what I've been seeing lately is it's like ping pong. Every time the U.S. markets recover and start to come up, then the Asian markets start to fumble a little bit. So
yeah, let me answer your question, but not in a facetious way.
Sure.
Warren Buffett had a very good outlook on investing.
Mm-hmm.
Invest for the long haul.
Right.
Because and there are day traders, and there's some people who are very, very good at it,
Mm-hmm.
and they have good information, and they understand the markets very well. And even then, they still, that goes up and down, and they lose occasionally. But Warren Buffett said, just buy and hold,
Mm-hmm.
and over the long haul, trust the strength of the American system and capitalism, and at the end of the game, you're probably going to be ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of organizationally,
right,
when you have chaos involved,
Mm-hmm.
control what you can control.
Sure.
Okay, you can look out in the world, oh, the trade thing with China, oh, what's that going to mean? Oh, the markets are up and down, and yet in your own business, you're missing things that are going on a daily basis.
Sure.
Whether you're in business for yourself, or you've got a company, or you work for the government, or whatever it happens to be, deal with what you can deal with, what you can control right now.
Sure.
Okay, because if that gets away from you, it doesn't matter if the market goes up then.
Right.
I mean, you're still going to lose.
Sure.
So do what you need to do, and then deal with the rest of it afterwards.
I like it. Sphere of influence. Stay in your lane.
That's it.
Right
That's
on,
it.
Jerry. And now we've got the Extra Point with Jerry Roberts.
Brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes.
Do you ever find yourself saying things you didn't really intend to say? Or maybe you did intend to say something, but it came out wrong. Today, we'll continue our look at the various ways we make a mess of things when we speak. That's coming next on The Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
A homeowner's policy protects much more than just your house. It also protects you against claims from someone being hurt on your property. If a visitor is injured at your place, how much are you covered for? The smart thing to do is get the answer today.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Yesterday, we began to discuss an article in Fast Company magazine written by Judith Humphrey entitled The 7 Deadly Sins of Impromptu Speaking. Today, we continue with number 4, umming and ahhing. And ah are in the category of what we call filler words. Well, like, and there are plenty more to add to that list. Now, wait a second, you might be saying, everybody uses these. And you'd be right to say that. We might have trouble finding anyone who doesn't. However, The use of fillers actually takes away from our ability to communicate well. Once we know that we have this habit, training ourselves to use silence instead of the filler word is an effective way to deal with it. Using a pause in our conversation makes us sound more decisive and thoughtful. Number 5, saying things we regret. This one is everybody. We all have said things we wish we hadn't, and depending on the severity of the situation, sometimes we carry this regret for years. Maybe it hurt the person we were talking with. Maybe it ended up hurting us. First, the bad news. It's a part of life, and it's likely we'll do it again. Sorry. That said, the news gets better. There are 2 things that can help reduce the pain: clearing the air with the person or people you spoke with, even apologizing if that's called for. And yes, that can be a bit humbling. And the second part of it is the remedy is time. Usually, the passage of time makes the situation more tolerable. Number 6. We didn't get our facts straight. We had the numbers wrong, didn't understand the rules, or misinterpreted something read or heard. In selling, this is a fairly common occurrence. We tell the prospect something that just doesn't stand up, and then we have to backtrack, often after the sale, and admit our mistakes. Besides incurring the possible anger of the customer, now we've likely lost their confidence in believing what we say. The answer? To build trust with complete honesty and accepting full responsibility. After that, work hard to know our stuff. If we're unsure of something, tell the person we'll get back to them with the answer. And number 7, not being in the moment. We're talking, but also looking at our phone or computer, or just looking around and losing eye contact. So much of communication is nonverbal. If we look like we've lost our concentration, it's likely people we're talking with will do the same, or at least they'll be confused. Put the phone where you can't see it, or turn it over. Then say what you have to say. Your audience will be glad you did. Impromptu speaking, done well, can make us look very good. It sends the message that we are in clear command of a topic and that we are sure of ourselves, and our communication skills are top-notch. However, as we've seen in this commentary and the one yesterday, there are potential pitfalls that can send a very different message. Grab transcripts number 390 and 391 at GuamTraining.com. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show with Chris Duania sitting in for Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
That was great. Excellent job, Jerry. And you even got some you got some shout outs here. Great extra point, Jerry. And that was from Pam Duvall.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you.
And then Smug Wimp said, Warren Buffett didn't invest in Enron. Kind of a smiley face.
That's probably right.
Kevin gave me tapas, and I jacked up his phone. Kevin, maybe they want to hear your voice. Dope! Tapas is...
$62.86.
$62. You hear that out there? All
down from 63.
We want a price drop. We want a price drop. Thanks, Jerry.
Have a good day.
You too, my friend. Stay dry. And that's the extra point once again with Jerry Roberts. Okay. And what we're moving into now, I guess we're going to go into maybe traffic? Is that
no, we'll do headlines here in about 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe we can tease what's coming up in the next half hour. I know we got Senator Moylan. He's going to be calling in a little bit and talk about what went on in the legislature yesterday.
We got Senator Moylan, and we'll be able to, discuss that. And then basically going to the top, I'm going to probably shift just a little bit. We'll take Senator Moylan as we discuss. I wanted to do a little bit of national news. I know that we do that a lot in our programming. As our good friend Ray would say, the right wing bomb throwers. But there's been some movement in terms of a couple of candidates on the Democrat side. First of all, it looks nationally like the Democrats are probably going to wield their field down to about 10. What I was watching on Fox. It looks like the stragglers are going to have a couple of days to try to meet the Democratic Party requirements of fundraising and percentage in terms of what they're holding in order to be able to be considered serious candidates and be on the debate stage. I was also watching yesterday, yes, I am a Foxaholic. I was watching Life, Liberty, and Levin. He had a great interview with a couple of guys, and basically breaking down and showing the realities of socialism. And, obviously they were doing that in the context of probably what we're going to see in this next presidential election. We're probably, Biden seems to be slipping a little bit, and Elizabeth Warren is starting to surge, and Bernie right behind her, I think Bernie's drafting her, basically, if we were to use a car racing theme. But it looks like Bernie's drafting her. It looks like Elizabeth Warren has captured the burn. It looks like she's probably picked up that progressive, very liberal, very left position, far left position. And so they discussed a lot about Venezuela, about other socialist places such as Cuba, and really what socialism means versus capitalism. And what's interesting is, I go through the blogs once in a while when I read some of these articles, and I read some of these guys who comment. I wouldn't really call them bloggers. Maybe they're just commenters, basically, on some of the articles in the Post. And there's a particular poster that likes to talk about how conservatives and the wealthy and capitalists, capitalists is basically a concentration of power and money. But actually, if you really look at it in the model of socialism, that actually is way more, it's a form of government and a form of everybody gets everything. But if you look at what happens, and the government will take care of everything, if you look at what happens, it actually, in the case of Venezuela, Cuba, and others, but particularly Venezuela right now is on the radar simply because of the fact that there is a real struggle down there for power, and there's a lot of people trying to escape everything that's going on now in the country over to Colombia or anywhere that they can get. But the reality is that's exactly what that social model shows, Kevin. That shows a concentration of power, wealth, land, money in the hands of the few. And what I wanted to mention, too, is the reason why I say, and particularly on Guam, and this is one thing, I'm not a chamber member, full disclosure. I'm just a little small business guy myself. But one thing that the chamber likes to say a lot of times, and that's why this tax conversation, this 1% BPT increase is such a critical thing, is that the majority of the businesses, particularly on Guam in the Chamber of Commerce, are small business. They're not a bunch of big fat cats that are basically controlling most of the wealth on Guam. It is small businesses that just are trying to get by, and the margins and the effect on regressive taxes, is really something that we need to talk about. I know that I did my homework. My friend Tom, that likes to call once in a while, asked me to go and read an article, and I'm going to forget his name right now, so I'm going to have to say that in the run up, going to the top of the hour, but the bottom line is that was the discussion, and I know I listened to Daryl a little bit yesterday. That was the discussion. In this article, basically about you take the money out of the private sector, you put it into the government. Yes, it's going to circulate, but it circulates more in the hands of the people. And so we're going to talk about that, a little bit of national news, back to local. We're going to do sports at 8 o'clock, just a whole bunch of stuff. So stay with the point. But right now, we're going to take the half-hour news break.
We're going to head into headlines now with Kevin Kerrigan. It's brought to you by my auntie, Lolita Kemet. Yeah, she's got Diamond Remax Realty, and so if you've got something that you want to buy or sell or rent or want to rent from, she's the lady to call. Auntie Loli's number is 688-6743. Again, Lolita Kemet at 688-6743. 7:30 headline news also brought to you by GPSI Guam, a professional services company registered contractor for the federal government. What's that mean to you? Call Al Yanger at GPSI and find out. 477-3058.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning. In district court yesterday, Timothy Roque Cepeda was sentenced to 15 months in a federal prison for failing to register as a sex offender on Guam. Cepeda returned home to Guam from California in May last year after 38 years away. He is 57 years old. 18 years ago, he was convicted in California of committing lascivious acts with a 12-year-old girl. He spent 3 years in prison at the time. Upon his release in 2004, he had to register as a sex offender in California, but when he came back to Guam last year, he did not register here as required by law. Cepeda in court yesterday apologized to Judge Francis Tadenko Gatewood and to the people of Guam and to his family, some of whom were in court for his sentencing yesterday. Cepeda's name has now been added to the Guam Sex Offender Registry. 33-year-old Gavin Regis Duenas sentenced to 7 years, 3 months in federal prison yesterday after pleading guilty to attempted possession of 6 pounds of methamphetamine. According to his plea agreement, Duenas picked up 2 priority mail packages, each with 3 pounds of methamphetamine. The packages had already been intercepted by the Drug Enforcement Agency, who replaced the meth with a sham drug and planted a tracking device in those packages. Duenas told Chief District Court Judge Francis Tadenko Gatewood that he was sorry for what he did. "I know I'll never do something like that again," he said. An official from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services arrived at Guam Memorial Hospital yesterday to look at some documents and meet with some people, according to GMH Administrator Lillian Perez-Posadas. This was a surprise visit from CMS, as they always are, said Posadas. During an entrance conference yesterday morning at the hospital, the CMS official told GMH officials that he was not conducting a revisit survey, nor was he conducting any kind of new site inspection survey. Posadas said the CMS official said he was here just looking at GMH policies. Posadas said she was concerned, but the CMS official didn't explain what specifically he was looking for beyond what he said during the entrance conference yesterday. Last year, GMH was threatened with the loss of its accreditation by CMS following a site survey that identified 22 deficiency. A corrective action plan was implemented and resolved all but
difference in your life and to helping you achieve the American dream of home ownership. She also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, and military and corporate relocation. So for all your real estate needs, call Lolita Kamet from Remax Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
IHOP's new buttermilk chicken has arrived, made with all-natural chicken breast and signature seasoning blend. Order with pancakes and waffles and a breakfast combo. Available for a limited time. Visit IHOP in Tumuning and Tumon.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA, 8A, and Hub Zone certified SDVOSB, providing program/project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. For large prime companies, contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 477-3058. They'll be happy to assist.
Alpha Day and welcome to Right Now Traffic. 8, 10, and 16 getting busy up there in Barragata. Machechi Road looks like in front of Reverend Tax picking up quite a bit too. And it looks like the Micronesian Mall intersection is getting pretty heavy too. Ukadu High School is still a little bit thick up there, so please be careful as our students are trying to get to school and teachers and everyone safely. Looks like Route 1 towards Jigo going towards the gate also. That'll be that construction. Looks like that's backed up. So just be careful, drive safely, and that's traffic on the point.
Proline Automotive has everything to customize your whip. From custom wheels to Nankang tires or just hubcaps, they have it. Feel better that it's protected with a dash cover, car cover, seat covers, or floor mats. Visit Proline Automotive, located in Harmon Industrial Park.
We understand what matters to you because at Docomo Pacific, we're a family too. With the Now Family program, mom, dad, and kids stay connected on the latest devices the whole family can enjoy. For just $155 a month, get 3 lines with 30 gigs of 4G LTE data each, and endless use of your favorite apps without affecting your monthly data bucket. Add more, get more, save more. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
Coast 360 introduces our new youth banking program. Give your kids and teens a head start with Kids 360 and Teen 360, a program designed to help your child develop smart financial habits and learn about money. Introduce them to banking and get them on a path towards a thriving financial future. Plus, new youth members get a special lunch tote just in time for back to school while supplies last. Learn more at coast360fcu.com or visit your favorite member center. Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Alpha Day, welcome back to The Point. Ray Gibson Show with Chris Duenas. So we've been talking about a bunch of topics today, but, you know, the hottest topic for this week most definitely is going to be the budget and the discussions on how we manage our resources, how we manage our limited resources, and how we prioritize, you know, the spending of those resources. And one of my favorite champions that we've had down at the legislature, and I've appreciated his work, has joined us this morning. And so, half a day, Senator Moylan, how are you?
Hey, half a day, Chris. I'm back at my office, doing good. I had
Right
some
on.
sun this morning and nice drive into work.
Right on. So, you know, first of all, I wanted to clear something up. I know just having, as we discussed today, having been on the floor and watched the legislative gymnastics, I've seen some of the, you know, some of the comments that can be made, and I know you don't want to go here, but I will a little bit. I know that the discussion about your voting in terms of, you know, voting to pass on the committee report was to get the bill on the floor and to ensure that it can make it out of committee. I know that you did not, you know, vote to pass, saying that you were going to pass the budget. So I just wanted to give you a chance once again to clear that up for our listeners, that that when that discussion was put forward, that what you were trying to do was make sure the bill would get out of committee.
Very true. Thank you.
Sure.
So we were on to the third version of the budget bill. That bill then came to me on the floor during one of our recesses, and I simply just said I vote to pass it. Of course, I want to get it onto the floor. So for myself there, that's just like any bill you get on the floor. You know, you can make amendments on the bill, even if it's your bill and it gets to the floor. You can make amendments based on what's being heard, or, you know, if you introduce a bill, you can even decide to withdraw it depending on what the situation is.
Sure.
And you can also even decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to bring this bill back to committee. So I voted to pass that third version of the budget bill. I wanted to expedite it and get it to the floor. And then as things change, there's no reason. I voted as a committee to pass it. It doesn't mean that I have to, during session, to vote it into law.
Right. So, Senator, I was watching your efforts, and, you know, in the beginning, you moved I believe it was on page 1 or page 2 to reduce the BBT from 5% back to 4%, and you know, I know that there's been some discussion on planning and how we would do this, but I think you believe, and I believe, especially with tracking, you know, some additional resources this year by the close of the fiscal year, and including lapses. I mean, if you took their most optimistic number, or even if you took their low number of 14 and see if that was realized, plus the proposed 7.5 million in terms of lapses, you know, just in that alone, you're looking at upwards of $23-24 million, or $22 million. And so that, along with reorganization and prioritizing, I think it could have still been done, as I mentioned earlier, as you probably know as well. The first thing that happens when they open the books is they slap a 15% reserve on all of the agencies to control spending. So I think you believed it was doable even to reduce it in the beginning, correct?
I do, and I attempted at the beginning, and that's where we start with the revenues.
Mm-hmm.
But I was ruled, I missed my opportunity, even though we were still on the grand total of the total general fund revenue.
Mm-hmm.
That one didn't go through. But yes, when we, as you can see of yesterday, we were discussing excess revenues, projections and overage and so forth. And I don't see why the discussion can't start of talking about where we can save.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of where we can continuously spend.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the input on different ways we can reorganize the government to save the taxpayers on this regressive tax
Mm-hmm.
of 5% that it's costing us more for just everybody, and especially those that are going paycheck to paycheck
Mm-hmm.
at the cash register.
Mm-hmm.
No discussion was about that. So I was hoping that would come about while we're talking about the budget, and that as we go through each department, we can see, oh, you didn't spend this or this or this. Why not? And let's see how we can save or do some reorganization. So that first attempt didn't work, even though we had the public hearing, which was Bill 9-35, and there was a great turnout. It made a terrific statement to the legislature body. And then we still have comments on social media, and that continues today, and we keep on hearing the statements. And then we constantly, or we've been seeing it greatly on editorials and media and you folks on the air, but it doesn't seem to have been enough. And even though many of us were talking about this during the election of 2018, where are we going to start talking about reorganizing and saving the taxpayers' money? I haven't seen that.
I agree with you, Senator, and you know, like our friend Ray, the main host of this show, likes to say, if there is not that sense of urgency, if there is not that issue that you're facing down in terms of having to cut, there just simply history just shows that there simply isn't going to be any effort, simply because it's just politically it's not politically correct to try to do that. But Senator, the reason why I thought your second attempt and the way you discussed the fact that you didn't believe you're out of order and you believe it's germane to operate under is because of the fact that what you've just enumerated, that you had your public hearing, which basically qualifies you to be able to move that bill into the budget, which is essentially what you're doing by reducing you're basically entering your budget, your bill into the budget, which it should be germane because it's had a public hearing, and like you said, there's been a lot of public outcry and a lot of information coming in to substantiate your bill having been heard.
Yes, we just want to do what's right, and there was a second attempt, and there was an adjustment on the amendment. Instead of it being October 1st of 2019, reducing the BBT to 4%. Okay, we'll do a compromise. Let's look at October 1st, 2020.
Right.
So it's not going to affect this budget, but we need to start as we look through the budget, and instead of asking, where are we going to start to reorganize? We need to put that into our minds. And I was ruled not germane because it doesn't affect this budget, but I do think so. We have to start our mindset. If we're looking at ways to spend excess, why aren't we looking at ways to do savings? We made amendments to how we want excess to be appropriated and where it should go, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, why can't we look at where we can look at cuts? And we can, as we develop next year's budget, this is a great time. If I was defeated initially, well, let's look at 2020. That's going to come by really, really quick for this to happen in October 1st, 2020. And I also introduced a bill 192-35 earlier this month to help an existing law giving the authority for the governor to reorganize the government. And the amendment adds to create a commission of about 20-some folks, all different agencies, even private enterprise, and even public citizens to come together and start working on a plan. I thought that would be ideal, working in with the consideration of the budget. And so by next year's budget, we got a plan, and we won't have to be rushing through this and fighting all over it in 5 days or less by the end of this week. But we have actually something working to give enough time. But my colleagues, when I asked for the vote, because I challenged the chairman, I was short. But we tried. So
Senator, I found it kind of ironic. I mean, to be ruled out of order and non-germane because you're discussing this budget year. You got a very voluminous section of the budget, miscellaneous provisions, and budget by and large, I don't think you can interpret it any other way, but it's a planning document. I mean, that's what you were trying to do, was say, okay, if there's no will of the body to be able to in the body to be able to reduce it at this point, well then why don't we set forward and set a plan in motion? You know, Senator, I am encouraged though that you got bipartisan support, and so I think that you know, you have a base to work from. How do you feel about that?
I do. We were really close to getting it heard, and there is bipartisan support. So there's still light, and there, you know, maybe there's still something else I could do with that. But I'm still going to keep on punching for that. I'm still going to need that to be heard, because I don't want it to be forgotten, and I don't want the next conversation to say we need to move it from 5% to 6%.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to stop.
Oh man, I think there would be. There would be revolt on that one, I think, Senator. I don't think there's any appetite at all out there in our community for that. You know, I wanted to shift to something else. You know, you've also done some revenue generating ideas. You have some revenue generating ideas. You have some business proposals, making things easier for businesses. One particular item, and it was an amendment to a public law that I had gotten through the legislature, and that's the increase of the taxes on limited gaming. And I completely agree with you on that. How come you can't seem to get that heard?
When you're the minority, you have to go with what the agenda is for the majority.
Sure.
And that's not a topic that wants to get onto the floor at this time, either for the public hearing or not. Yes, if those fees they should be looked at, and I don't see why not. We also did some for collecting of illegal B&Bs, and that got a public hearing, but it kind of died at core. And others, like lowering the cost of the LLC, it's $1,000. I had a public hearing for that, and I'm hoping to get it out of committee now to bring it back down to something more reasonable, $250 or even $100. There's no reason why we're restricting businesses that are wanting to do things right. We have other bills out there too. There's also looking at new monies, the repatriation of foreign profits, that is an existing law, but just was lacking some coordination between agencies, DOA and DRT, which we ironed out, and which there are still companies wanting to do that, bringing their repatriate their monies from foreign countries back into the U.S. via Guam with the QC opportunity, and that's new revenue for us.
Senator, I'm perplexed on that one. Did that get a public hearing?
We did.
And it's not a priority to bring that to the floor.
Not really.
Wow.
It's kind of a struggle, and we're still working that.
Yeah.
We're hoping to see that come on out.
You know, that was really interesting, because actually that was in gubernatorial platforms, and I things that just boggle your mind sometimes. And I don't expect you to say it, Senator. I will. You know, and the bottom line is that just seems almost negligent. I mean, that was something that we know that there are opportunities, and under the Trump administration, that is one of the reasons why companies that had been doing business, in foreign countries that have now a more favorable opportunity stateside. I mean, that was one. That is something that's ripe to happen, and it could mean millions and millions of dollars for our tax coffers, and it just doesn't make any. That boggles my mind. I have to say it.
Yeah, I understand.
Anyways, in closing, really, the way forward, what additional efforts are you looking at here? I mean, I've been kicking around the issue of just saying, well, fine, if the government of Guam was able to, the audit shows, bite the bullet of $30 million in the fiscal year 18 budget when the calamities hit, and the audit shows that they were able to do their part by cutting $30 million, and then of course the resulting revenue for the balance of the fiscal year at the 1%, bailed everything out, and kind of that was the original temporary. Is there any appetite, do you think, for that? For saying, okay, fine, if the government at least proved it could do that, let's redo these numbers of this budget, take $30 million and lockbox it into key agencies like the hospital, like education, like public safety. It was done done in the 30-second, and it basically was done for public safety. It was $3 million for a public safety pool that you could only hire officers with that funding. You think there's any appetite for something like that?
Well, looking at the BBT and how that there's no appetite for what I was trying to do, I don't. With this current way things are currently going, it's still going to be a battle. But I would like to see it resurrected. In the meantime, though, I'm going to look at still cutting, which is the different bills also proposed with prohibiting funds for deputy directors, executive secretaries, liaison, and anything I could find to reduce our expenses.
You know, Senator, I like what you're doing with that, because that's almost along the same lines. That makes sense, is that if you want to do this, you know, your budget's already capped. You're authorized to do it, but from what I understand, what you're saying, you're basically just going to zero. You wouldn't eliminate the position, but you would zero out the funding for it and make it an unfunded position, but the position would still exist. And then if the governor wanted to fill it, she'd have to do it using her budget.
Exactly.
And that makes so much sense. If this is a priority of yours, then you will do it with the resources allocated to your office. Senator, I got to say, I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you very much.
You know, my dad taught me a lesson when I was a little kid. He said, always appreciate extreme positions, because that's actually what creates the middle. You know, Senator, I think you can even walk away with some concessions on saving money, on tightening the belt, and you've at least shown that you've got bipartisan support for your bill. You know, keep up the good fight. And who knows, maybe later on in this session, you might be able to pass that bill.
Maybe. Let's keep it. Let's give it a try. Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Senator, have a great day. Enjoy your time on the floor, and we'll enjoy watching you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So that was Senator Moylan. You know, if you have a different point of view, a different perspective, you know, we'd like to hear what you have to say. You know, I think that Senator Moylan is doing the work of what a senator should do, and definitely he's doing the work of what a minority senator, you know, should do. And basically, that is, you know, to make sure that you're keeping the majority on their toes. You're keeping that check and balance that's supposed to be there in order to be able to, you know, effectively ensure that you know, it's not just the warm and fuzzy, and let's pass a budget that's going to take care of you know, of constituents that we care the most about, because the voting bloc and the whole nine, but do right by all of the people of Guam, particularly those you know, who are struggling out there and basically are you know, kind of crumbled under the thumb of what regressive taxes do. So his name popped in my head again, Carl Peterson. So Carl Peterson wrote that article, and Tom asked me to go and take a look at that, and I did. And I agree with Carl. So simply put, the bottom line is that the millions and millions of dollars that basically get taken out of our taxes into the government, there's no question that money recirculates as well. But the factor of how it recirculates and the multiplier in the private sector is a bigger impact. Another thing that kind of gets to me a little bit, Kevin and Mike, and I don't know where you guys are on this, but when I hear the conversation of, you know, the stores already raised their prices, but so they're not going to reduce it. Well, that may be true. The fact of the matter is there's new products coming into Guam. There's new businesses opening. There's new economic activity that no matter what, you're taxing at that 5%. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, well, you know, generally speaking, with competition being what it is, when somebody can clear the same amount of profit at a lower price, they will go to that lower price in order to sell more product than their competitor. That's just how the free market works. I could see where here on Guam, maybe people like one good example is the gas prices, which everybody observes the same gas prices. And I think people are afraid that that's probably going to happen as well if the taxes are rolled back, is that people will the businesses will collude together and say, no, well, we're not going to roll the prices back. Now we get to make more money. Yay for us.
Yeah, and I think, you know, there's always going to be a certain amount of that, but I think what you discussed earlier, maybe excluding the gas companies, because we've all tried to figure that out for decades. But in other retail, the fact of the matter is the competitive edge is where you're trying to give the best price. Mm-hmm. And so if you already have that margin and you're using that margin as your basis, if you're not having that money taken away from you, you can even compete better. And so all I'm saying is that when you're dumping that money into the abyss that basically is the government of Guam, I just don't think that and I think Carl Peterson's absolutely right. I also think, Kevin, that if you look at how we're tracking additional resources now, it looks to be that not only the taxes, in terms of increase of the taxes, but it looks like the economic activity by the tax cuts is probably the one generating the additional revenue as well.
That I don't know. I can't tell.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess I'll close going to the top by saying one of the other things that I was disappointed about during this budget season and the short period of time in order to discuss the budget bill on the floor was the fact that they didn't conduct that very important meeting, Special Economic Services meeting that's supposed to be done before they convene for a budget. And that brings folks such as economic experts, business community, Chamber of Commerce, and all government agencies to the table to discuss the veracity of the budget projection and what all of the projections and government spending means to you and me and everyone.
Maybe we felt like we didn't need one this time since the governor's, the owner of the bank.
Michael. And that's Michael's point. Stay with us. This is The Point Guam, Ray Gibson Show with Chris Duenas. Whole lots of fun coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. We appreciate you being there. We'll do Facebook. We'll do sports, and we'll just hang out.
You're listening to KUSG Hagåtña.
A landmark ruling holds Johnson & Johnson liable. I'm Pam Puso, Fox News. J&J ordered to pay for helping to fuel Oklahoma's opioid crisis. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Pam, more than $500 million is what the drug maker is ordered to pay. Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter called the company's actions calculated.
Johnson & Johnson built its billion-dollar brand out of greed and on the backs of pain and suffering of innocent people.
Sabrina Strong defended Johnson & Johnson, saying prosecutors called no patients or doctors and that the judgment is unfair.
And that it finds Johnson & Johnson responsible for the entirety of the opioid abuse crisis.
The defense maintains there was no deception and will appeal the decision, Pam.
Thanks, Gernal. To another court decision, this one in Pennsylvania. Federal prosecutors say they plan to seek the death penalty against the suspect in the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting. Robert Bowers is accused of killing 11 people last year. He's pleaded not guilty. China wants a trade deal. So says President Trump, who's heading home from the G7 summit in France.
China realized that its supply chains and its economic stability is beginning to waver just a little bit. Markets in Asia were way down early this morning when China seemed to do a little bit of an about face. And President Trump says it's because of his get tough policies that China is finally waking up to see that it has to do things differently.
Fox's John Roberts. The news putting investors in a buying mood today. The Dow surging 270 points. The Senate's top Democrat is summing up the G7. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer saying it was another missed opportunity for President Trump to show America's strength by unifying key global partners. America is listening to Fox News.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new ciabatta collection. How do you want it?
I'll take the slam poultry.
Sure. Italian ciabatta with mozzarella. When hunger reigns, you're my favorite umbrella. Tasty garlic steak and provolone. With you, my taste buds are never alone. Savory chicken pesto, you have my affection. For you complete the ciabatta collection. Thank you. That was the new ciabatta collection by Subway. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Coast 360 introduces our new youth banking program. Give your kids and teens a head start with Kids 360 and Teen 360, a program designed to help your child develop smart financial habits and learn about money. Introduce them to banking and get them on a path towards a thriving financial future. Plus, new youth members get a special lunch tote just in time for back to school, while supplies last. Learn more at coast360fcu.com or visit your favorite member center. Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
Surrendering to authorities, 3 employees of a nursing home where a dozen patients died in the days after a hurricane.
A number of former employees, including nurses of the Hollywood Hills Nursing Home in Broward County, Florida, are to be charged with crimes in connection with 12 patients dying at the facility in the midst of power losses during 2017's Hurricane Irma. Those patients were left in sweltering heat during and after the storm. An attorney for a former administrator of the nursing home says blame should be on state officials they say ignored calls for help. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Another storm popping up in the Atlantic Ocean. The tropical depression is about 300 miles southeast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, and is expected to become a tropical storm by tonight or tomorrow, but is not expected to threaten the U.S. Also in the Atlantic, Tropical Storm Dorian, which is closing in on the Lesser Antilles.
The system is expected to then move towards Puerto Rico and Hispaniola on Thursday, possibly as a hurricane, and then weaken as it interacts with land.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg isn't letting cancer treatment get in the way of a commitment. The 86-year-old was at the University at Buffalo School of Law today accepting an honorary degree. She recently completed radiation therapy for a malignant tumor on her pancreas. Another restaurant chain makes a move beyond meat.
Get your fried chicken fix without the chicken. KFC plans to test a plant-based product at a restaurant in Atlanta and could expand the offering to other locations as testing continues. Protein giant Beyond Meat will supply the imitation chicken for KFC's Beyond Fried Chicken.
Fox's Steve Rappaport, Tim Hortons, Applebee's, Subway, and Dunkin' already offer Beyond Meat products on their menu. I'm Pam Puso, and this is Fox News.
Everybody's heard about the bird. The bird, bird, bird.
Circle K has a 3-pound rotisserie chicken, now available for the introductory price of $9.99. It's the biggest, tastiest, and most affordable rotisserie chicken of its kind on island. Save even more by getting a family meal with 2 sides and a bottle of wine for only $25.99. The Circle K rotisserie chicken. Get yours today. Circle K. Take it easy.
Proline Automotive has everything to customize your whip. From custom wheels to Nankang tires or just hubcaps, they have it. Feel better that it's protected with a dash cover, car cover, seat covers, or floor mats. Visit Proline Automotive, located in Harmon Industrial Park.
65 years ago, Bank Pacific opened its doors to our community. As we celebrate, we offer you a special 65th anniversary personal loan rate for as low as 4.65% for travel, back to school, a wedding. Do whatever you want with the money. We just want to give it to you for as low as 4.65% APR. It's our birthday present to you.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal opportunity lender, member FDIC, conditions apply.
IHOP now has buttermilk crispy chicken made with all-natural chicken breast and a signature blend of seasonings. Why am I running? Because IHOP now has buttermilk crispy chicken made with all-natural chicken breast and a signature blend of seasonings. Whoa! We're talking chicken sandwiches, chicken and waffles, even chicken and pancakes. But move it, Gray Van! IHOP has crispy chicken!
Run in to try IHOP's new buttermilk crispy chicken strips and pancakes for just $6.99. For a limited time, price and participating restaurants may vary.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 8 a.m. this Tuesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. An official from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services arrived at Guam Memorial Hospital yesterday to look at some documents and meet with some people, according to GMH Administrator Lillian Perez-Posadas. This was a surprise visit from CMS, as they always are, said Posadas. During an entrance conference at the hospital yesterday morning, the CMS official told GMH officials that He was not conducting a revisit survey or a new site inspection survey. Posada said the official said he was just looking into some GMH policies. Posada said she was concerned, but the CMS official did not explain what he was looking for beyond what he said during the entrance conference. Last year, GMH was threatened with the loss of its accreditation by CMS following a site survey that identified 22 deficiencies. A corrective action plan was implemented and resolved all but 2 of those outstanding issues in June. Posadas told the Guam Daily Post that CMS still had concerns about those 2 remaining outstanding deficiencies. The trial of 2 young men accused of attacking vehicles in Manila with machetes in June got underway in Superior Court yesterday. Jordan Rachalap is accused of terrorizing, criminal mischief, and aggravated assault. Emmanuel Resalap is charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, and terrorizing. He's accused of slashing his cousin Urson Resalap in the stomach with a machete. Then he and Rachalap are alleged to have run out to University Drive in Manila and thrown rocks at vehicles, striking other vehicles with a machete. Chaos was the only way to describe the incident, said Prosecutor Sean Brown during his opening arguments yesterday. Former Senator Judy Gutherz was among those to testify. She said all of a sudden, individuals came up to her car and started pounding on it. They were using machetes and throwing rocks, she said. Gutherz told the jury they had terror in their faces, and in her opinion, they were out for blood. The trial continues today in Superior Court. We'll have more news after this.
Half a day. Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. I'm Jade Uggan of Umatic, and this is where I start my day. Listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi itanonmo. Protect your land. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
This is Ronnie. Ronnie is about to break his piggy bank.
Come on, piggy bank.
Ronnie wants to upgrade his smartphone.
And this piggy's gonna help me.
If Ronnie had signed up for GTA's handset payment option, he could have selected a new smartphone with an affordable monthly plan.
I could have what?
Exactly. Sign up for HBO at GTA and don't break the bank.
I'm sorry, piggy bank.
Terms and conditions apply. GTA, we start with you.
10 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. Some of the allegations made by Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority Executive Director Ray Tapazna of certain behind-the-scene deals at GURA when he first led the agency several years ago have now been made public. Tapazna filed a civil lawsuit alleging violations of the Federal False Claims Act, and my computer just went blank, shut down. So that's the end of the newscast, and back to you.
Right on. Okay. My computer does that sometimes, too. Guess what today's going to be like? Expect a warm day ahead with improving weather.
Well, satellite, we'll go to satellite here in a moment. Let's switch to radar real quick. We can see the showers are pulling away, and you can almost literally see the trough is up to the north, and then just some lingering showers being drug up from the south on the backside of it. This is all very isolated stuff here, so if you get a shower, you'll probably be one of the lucky ones today. Not much in the way of rainfall, but they are calling for scattered showers this morning. Clockwise rotation in the clouds there, which means high pressure will be building back in. So as we talked about earlier, it looks like we may be getting some of those easterly and northeasterly winds back here in just another day or so. And let's go ahead real quick, show where Guam is. And so, yeah, but for the most part, improving weather through the day today and tomorrow. Weather Service says maybe another chance for some rainfall to move in, say, perhaps by the weekend.
Sounds good. And that's Weather on the Point.
Whether it's for business or pleasure, staying connected when you travel is always essential. And now when you travel to South Korea, enjoy free data roaming with Docomo Pacific. Navigate the city, look up the best restaurants, email back home, or post all your pictures, all on the go for free. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your postpaid account is ready for roaming. You plus Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. See print ad for details.
Yeah, let's go to Ruby Tuesdays. You can go there anytime, but the big day to go is going to be on Tuesday because, it's their day. And so we'll start with a happy hour that starts as soon as they open their door. And then when it gets to be dinner time or just time to eat, go to Ruby Tuesday with a friend. And then both of you get to go through the open salad bar all the time. You can hang out and do that. And then after that, you go through the salad bar, and then we're going to eat different entrees. I mean, you can get the same entrees, but, they've got a whole spread, and you can decide what it is that you want to eat: chicken, pork, fish, steaks. And then we've got dessert. And the important part is trying to decide how you're going to eat the dessert. Is there going to be the cheesecake, the New York cheesecake, or the frostbite chocolate cake? Either way, figure out what it is and then share it. That will never get old. I will not let that get old, ladies and gentlemen. 8:17 in the morning. So go and try out the fantastic 2-for-1 Tuesdays at Ruby Tuesdays, $29.99. Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by American President Line's global presence with a local home and security title. You need to keep some confidentiality in whatever it is that you're doing in the real estate world. You got a great deal you don't want anybody else to know about. They know how to keep a secret at Security Title.
Hulu is all your TV in one place, plus more. Watch thousands of hit shows, movies, and award-winning Hulu originals for only $5.99 per month. It's TV without the cable contract and the freedom of on-demand streaming. Get current network shows from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and binge watch every season of your favorite cable shows. Premium Hulu viewing is brought to you by Proline Automotive and AB Sports, Guam's store for Nike. To advertise on Hulu, call Choice Digital at 989-0042.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by Take Care Insurance, specifically this part because they love it when we pretend to talk about sports. The guys over at Cars Plus, because over at Cars Plus, they've extended the summer. There's nobody going back to school there. Cars Plus has extended the summer of the Jeep until the end of August. Yeah? So you still got plenty of time to do the test drive. You got plenty of time to test drive different colors if you want to with the guys over at Cars Plus. And portions of the program, I don't know if I've got it in front of me, but I should be able to do this just on brain power. The guys over at Mescla also bring you portions of the program. Dungeness crab. It's a garlic Dungeness crab. What they get is you start, we get 2 pounds of this stuff, 2 pounds of Dungeness crab, and it is all cooked up in a special secret garlic sauce that they have, and they'll serve that to you on it's a bed of chow mein noodles, as a matter of fact. You should make reservations. There's a telephone number. Just look it up on the Google, and you can find it for Mescla, or just drive to the nearest one. There's one in Agania, and there's one in the Grand Plaza in Tumon.
Real Talk Radio is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Top of the day, and welcome back to The Point. Ray Gibson Show with Chris Duenas. Man, we got to go to Facebook right away. There's some funny stuff here. Smug Wimp says, see, that's the problem with Kevin. If he worked for CNN, he could just make it up as he goes along. Smug Wimp also came in on the issue of the BPT. Basically said he's a small business guy. I don't know if it's he or she, Smug Wimp, but screen name looks like. But said he or she is a small business, and basically when they invoice, they put the GRT right on the invoice. So if it's 5%, it costs the customer more.
Yeah.
If it's 4%, costs the customer less. And so his thing is, well, for my business, the customer is the one who's going to pay. So no matter what. Hey, Ray is never gone. Okay? Guys, everybody, this is an alert from Ray.
He's here?
No, I think, and I hope the owner of this goat doesn't get mad at me. I'm not making fun of it because it looks like somebody's really in a bad way. Bella is missing.
I saw that. I hope. Please don't eat her. And I'm not saying that to be funny either. No. Please don't eat Bella.
Can you do the Bella PSA for me?
Sure, I can. Bella is a brown goat. Let's see here. Where's my text there?
But she's a happy goat.
She looks happy, and she's also pregnant.
She's pregnant, yeah.
So
definitely don't eat her. Yeah,
please don't eat her. She looks like she's got a little bit of white on her face, just above her nose. Bella is a pregnant female brown goat that is expecting. She is a family pet that is loved very much. Do not eat her.
Oh yeah.
We would really appreciate her safe return. So please don't eat Bella. If you find Bella, But you know what the thing is, you can call us 483-9492 if you see or hear anything about Bella, by the way. They didn't say where, though.
Yeah.
See, that's, I mean, it's like trying to find a goat on Guam.
Because you're probably not going to look for Bella down in Tumon. You know what I mean? She probably didn't get out in Tumon.
I've seen Bellas in Afamy where I live.
Okay.
My neighbors before
Really?
used to, yeah.
I stay in Chalampago, and they got cows. We got cows in our
You
village.
guys do got
Yeah,
cows
we got cows on the side of the road, like on the side of Route 4, just right there before you get to the laundromat.
Actually, we
Hanging
had
out
cows
there.
in Afamy too. My neighbor, he actually have a pretty good sized lot, and before when he had a couple more, he used to come over and ask me if he could pasture them, and I loved it because got a lot of that sakati grass and everything else. And man, guys, a couple of days, and I don't even need to take out the bush cutter.
Yeah, you don't even have to look out there. Like, no, it's cut. It's good.
And they do it like they're manicuring it. You know what I mean? They got a method to their deal. You know, they kind of work left and right. And you start seeing, 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet. A week's gone by, and wow, I got trees and no bushes. So
I don't think Bella's in the couch.
I don't think
you got somebody looking for.
Oh yeah, you got to chime in, these silly people.
These guys are goofing off, man.
Yeah, they were doing it on Daryl.
The goat is
other
pregnant.
day.
She is going to have a
The couch has been sold.
Bing, bing, boom.
Yeah.
You got to give that guy
For you.
bing, bing, boom.
Yeah, and the couch has been sold. Abdullah. Sorry, Dewan. Yeah.
Okay, that's for the couch, and that's for the goat is going to have a kid.
Yes, please don't eat Bella. I want to hear a happy ending to Bella's story.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I do too. So anybody, the folks who messaged us about Bella, we need a location. Message us back, and we'll get a little bit more specific with our international listening radio audience. I mean, of course, it's for the Guam folks.
Yeah.
But that's why we pretend to do sports, and now it's time for Sports with Blake. How's the football thing going?
The Pick'ems.
The Pick'ems.
That's exactly what I was just looking at.
Yeah, we got 31.
Yes.
31 signed up now. So you still got a couple of weeks to sign up because the season doesn't start for 2 more weeks. You can go to our website, guam.thepoint.gu, and check out thepoint.gu. We've got instructions there. But just listening in right now, go to Yahoo, create an account, or rekindle the old account that you probably have there. And then you'll go over to sports and then to fantasy sports. Once you get there, find Pro Football Pick'em. And then it'll pop you up an option. You can join a club, join a group, or create a group. You want to join a group. It will ask you what the number is. The group number is 3384, and there is a password you will need as well. It's all lowercase, Ray Gibson. Once you do that, you just make a cool name, and then you're into the mix with us. We're giving away some really cool prizes to end everything out. With GTA's giving us a phone.
A
to
phone
give
of your
away.
choice, Either the latest at the time, so I guess this will be with January or whatever,
Right,
so the latest whatever's out of your choice of Pixel, iPhone, or Android.
There you
so
go.
anything you want.
Are you going to do a test run in the preseason?
No. Yeah.
Just go straight into the regular season.
Our test
let
run
it
was
roll.
last year, actually, when we did, kind of a buffered segment of this. We just, right off the top of our heads, I was like, hey, why don't we do pick'ems? And we're like, okay, so we signed up. We got about 8 people.
I thought that was a point guys thing, or that actually was open for the folks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Last year was the first year, and then this year we just continued.
Yeah, Juanita Machi won our grand prize last year.
Yeah, well, she won a. It was Ray gave it out actually
The
from his own
speaker, one of
personal
those cool
collection. Yeah, I don't
speakers,
even think he got that one given to him. I think it was he
No.
just had it, but it was brand new. It was JBL. It was a portable Bluetooth speaker, waterproof,
Nice.
and it was also, I think, a charger, like so a charging port, so you could charge things with it, and it was a speaker, and it was waterproof. Take it to the beach.
Right
Do all
on.
that. So
Get in on the pick'ems.
Yeah,
the points
yeah.
pick'ems. So
And
you
we had
said
31, which I think
31,
last year we only had like 8,
They were
10,
like 8 or
8 to
9,
12.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't
Right
have very many.
on.
Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely a big showing, and everybody's just kind of waiting for the season to
Start
start.
of the season,
I can't wait.
Everybody can't wait. So I
And
think
one
there's some
more
games.
week.
San Francisco yesterday.
One more week.
Bro, look, you can't even have that look on your face. My running back just blew out an ACL, so we're done.
At least you have a running back.
Well, not really. The guy we got, all they can do is catch passes, and Bill O'Brien doesn't pass.
My running
He likes
back's
to
hanging
run.
out down in Cancun with his agent.
Zeke watch.
And,
Zeke watch.
and Marshall Falk.
Looking like a Wookiee.
Yeah, he looks just like a Wookiee.
He really does.
Well, Zeke does look like a Wookiee. Did you see how oblivious Bill Belichick is before we get to some local stuff?
What, does he just already know the Super Bowl is his to win?
You would think so, and I guess because he's done all of that, he can get away with this, although I'm not giving him a pass on this. He didn't see that Andrew Luck retired. There's a video out there. He's like, they're like, oh, what do you think about Andrew Luck retiring? He's like,
Under what rock?
he's like, I don't really. His verbatim answer, I don't really follow them. I hadn't seen that.
That's a typical
That is so
Belichick answer.
Belichick.
It really is.
All you Patriots fans, enjoy it. I can't wait until that man is out of the game. Tom Brady's out of the game. You know, am I too? Because I didn't like Kobe for the same reason.
Right.
Montana used to drive me crazy.
I don't like people who are like that in press conferences.
Right.
You know, I mean, unless they're asking you, like, unless it's a bad loss, and you don't want to talk about it, or unless, you don't want to talk about, your person, whatever, I get it if they're probing questions, but just asking a guy, hey, what do you think about Andrew Luck retiring? That's a big deal. I hadn't seen that. I don't really follow them. So.
Yeah, well, Bill O'Brien's a chip off of the old block because after every game, they lose. Then it's like, oh, well, it comes down to coaching, and I really need to do a better job. The guys played hard. I mean, you can just verbatim what he's going to say to open the press conference. Yeah. And then he'll, disregard the ignorant questions, and ultimately it goes down to just he's a crappy coach.
I love Montana's class. But it just drove me crazy that it beat the crap out of everybody all the time.
Montana?
Yeah. It's like, we need a new winner here.
A new regime. A new regime. Yeah,
he's amazing.
They pretty much ruled. Yeah, they pretty much ruled the '80s. And we got the Cowboys, and then we got the Patriots, and we're still
with the Patriots.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much all the dynasties, right? Since Montana. I mean, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Steelers.
Yeah. Did they put two back to back together? I'm just asking. Did they?
No,
put,
they did 2 in 4 years.
2 and 4. Okay, and I knew that. Yeah, because I know Roethlisberger. I mean, I knew that. And they're always in the mix. And I think they even went to 3. They lost one, right? They lost to the Packers, I think. So, I guess you could throw them in there.
I mean, they were a dynasty when it was them
in the '70s,
and
the Cowboys,
them and the Cowboys. You know what I mean?
And then before that, you had the Chiefs, the Packers. They were big dynasties in the '60s and the.
I think those
70s.
days on Guam, that's really what it was. You were either a Cowboy or
Steelers fan.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, though, all of the dynasties that have existed since the Steelers, every one of them would have had a hard time beating that '70s Steelers team.
Yeah.
Those guys were, offensively, not so much. I mean, you had Swan and Stallworth, really two good, bookend receivers. Bradshaw, middling at best, but was good enough to not, he made few enough mistakes that it didn't cost his team. And Franco Harris was never going, he got to the Hall of Fame, but it wasn't for his numbers. It's just because of a lot of the things that he was able to participate in and do. So that team was all defense, and any of these other dynasties up until that time, and maybe Dallas of the 90s would have given them the best run for their money, but that 70s Steelers team, those guys were
Dallas of the 70s. Didn't the Dallas teams of the 70s give them a run?
They did, but
they lost the Super Bowl to them, right?
Right.
Cowboys lost to that team.
I think you guys lost 2 to them.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mean Joe Green was so cool. It's burnt in my mind, that commercial, that Coke commercial.
The Coke commercial.
That's amazing. He is throwing that jersey to the kid. I mean, I'm sorry.
He's from not too far from where I'm from.
I don't get Misty
right.
too much.
No,
he's from Denton, right?
That's right.
Yeah. He's from Denton, Texas. Shout out to the mean. Yeah, he's a UNT's own. He's a former Mean Green.
What was funny about that Steelers team? I mean, because we are talking about him, and Kevin just brought up Lynn Swann, and of course Lynn Swann, world-class talent, but Stallworth was actually better. And there's a lot of people that will attest to that in terms of his physical abilities. He was actually bigger than Swan. He outweighed Swan by about 20 pounds. Stallworth was more of a tight end size receiver.
I was going to say, yeah, kind of like a Gronk.
Yeah, because I want to say Stallworth was like 6'3", and Swan was only about 6'1". So there was a difference there, but. Out of the two of them, Stallworth probably was the best receiver, but Swan got all the pretty points.
Oh, man. Because he was pretty when he went up for the ball. I think that's what it was. It was just so graceful.
Yeah, Lynn Swan? Those are the images I remember of Lynn Swan. In the end zone. Just one-armed catches.
You're like, what?
Yeah. Good for them. They beat the Cowboys. I just made myself upset because I'm Googling Lynn Swan and I'm just looking pictures of him catching balls all over the top of in that Super Bowl.
Beating up on my boys.
Yeah, good for Lynn Swan. We do have a couple of local things to get to here. I just wanted to touch on this really, really quickly because we didn't give the GNYFF too much love yesterday, only because it was mostly GDOE/IIAAG. But the GNYFF in full swing is the Minnehaha Broncos. Keanu Tamashiro and Logan Salinas, they scored 2 touchdowns apiece. They give that gives their team, the Broncos, speaking of the Steelers, a win over the GNYFF Steelers, 28-6. That happened Saturday. Elsewhere, let's see here. Noah Medler and Vance Minnow, they led the older Angels to a victory over the Packers. Minnow scored an Angels touchdown. And finally, to round out this is funny. Never mind, I'm done.
All right.
You know what it was? You know what it was? I don't want to.
I mean, you got to tell us.
I had an opportunity to pick on DOE.
Oh, okay.
And the reason I thought I was still on GNYFF, because apparently this kid is a freshman or he's brand new to the high school league.
Oh, okay.
Because it says here that he plays for JFK. I guess he did play for JFK. It says, Wendy's player of the game, JFK Islander Jacoby Kanata scored the game's only touchdown in the 7-0 victory over the Southern High Dolphins. This kid looks like he's in high school, but he is wearing a GNYFF Steelers jersey.
Wow.
There it is. I got it.
So you see why I thought that was... Yeah. So
Man, dude's got a stash.
And of course, well, because he's in high school. That's what I'm saying. So leave it to DOE to, not get their team's uniforms.
So rivalry question. You were hurting about the Rangers yesterday. So so you can't root for Houston.
No.
Not even.
I don't.
Right?
Not.
That's how that works.
Not
right?
as a team, as a town, as an idea, and anything.
How does this work with you guys?
No, that's fine. We're both
You're a
Texans.
Houston boy, right?
Yeah, we're both Texans.
It's in great. It's like growing up there.
Yeah.
Here we're cool because we're displaced Texans here.
Got it.
But it's it's Houston versus Dallas. It'll always be Houston versus Dallas. It's always been Houston versus Dallas, and it's the city. Like because if you think about sports wise, the Astros just moved into the American League within the last 5 years, 6 years. So they're kind of forced upon us as a rivalry because prior to 5 years ago, since the Major League's been the Major League and the Astros have been in it, they've never been in the American League. The Rangers always have. So now they're both in the American League. So now it's kind of a rivalry, although the Astros are much, much, much better than not just us, than everybody. So, they pretty much just beat us.
In fairness, when we got brought to the American League, they were much, much, much better.
That was when we were losing. That's when we were losing back-to-back World Series, but still making it to the World Series. And then as far as like Cowboys-Oilers football goes, it's just never AFC, NFC. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's when we talk about the rivalry between Houston and Dallas, it's
big.
specifically towns. It's Dallas, the town, does not like Houston, the town, and vice versa.
Got it.
We think they think that Dallas is too white collar and too snorty and hoity-toity, and Dallas thinks that Houston is too blue collar and roughnecks and rough around the edges, and
And they are.
But if you're from Oklahoma and you pick with either one of us, we'll both kick your butt.
Yeah, that's right.
There it is. One real quick one. I'm looking forward to. I know it's not even close yet. Maybe a little bit close. Basketball. I'm looking forward to the Clippers and the Lakers.
Oh man, I
want to watch Clippers and Lakers go at
interesting.
it.
So I asked my buddy in Dallas. I said, "Who's going to be the king of LA?" Right? Is it going to be LeBron or Kawhi? He goes, "No, my friend. King of LA is going to be a kid from Slovenia." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And because he's such a Mavs fan, and so he says, "Think about it." He goes, "On those road trip nights, those back-to-back away games in LA, when the Mavericks have to play the Clippers one night." And the Lakers the next night. Who has to guard Kawhi one night and turn around the next night and guard LeBron? So I think the king of LA will be whoever has to do that turnaround and can handle Kawhi one night and then turn around the next night and have to play LeBron.
There you go.
NBA's going to be fun.
It's going to be really fun, and I can't wait for the Lakers to do what they're going to do.
Well, in my team features Harden, who's a ball hog and flopper and great scorer and all that, reteaming with Westbrook, who...
Westbrook and Harden back together.
There's no way that's going to work, and plus, D'Antoni team will never win a title. So
who else do y'all have? Ariza?
I think he's gone.
Gerald Green?
Could be. I
don't know. I don't know, man.
Basketball's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch. Go LA.
Right on. And that is Sports with Blake and the gang.
Are you ready for some football? The Ray Gibson Show has got your NFL fix every Friday on Sports with Blake. Be a part of the action by going to yahoo.com's Fantasy Sports Pro Football Pick'em. Join League 3384. with the password Ray Gibson. Choose your team name and get your game on. Winners get a chance to win some awesome prizes that get you through the NFL season. The NFL Picks on the Ray Gibson Show is brought to you by Current Guam.
So are we doing traffic, my man? Oh, we're doing Kevin. My bad. Here's Kevin with the news.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines of the Guam Daily Post this morning, the Boy Scouts of America have settled at least 44 of 113 child sex abuse lawsuits. The amount of the settlements has not been disclosed. Settlement and dismissal motions were filed in district court yesterday by attorneys Michael Berman on behalf of the plaintiffs and attorney Patrick Seville, who represents the Boy Scouts. In each case, the plaintiffs alleged that they were sexually abused by the late Louis Brouillard during Boy Scout outings and meetings. Brouillard served as a priest and scoutmaster on Guam for more than 40 years before he died. According to the settlement documents, if no settlement had been reached, Seville and Berman both agreed that the Boy Scouts had a strong case and ultimately would have successfully refuted the abuse accusations. Seville stated that many of the claims are more than 40 years old and did not specifically identify witnesses or provide any evidence that the Boy Scouts were aware of the alleged abuse. In district court yesterday, Timothy Roque Cepeda sentenced to 15 months in a federal prison for failing to register as a sex offender on Guam. Cepeda returned home to Guam from California in May of last year after 38 years away. He's 57 years old. 18 years ago, Cepeda was convicted in California of committing lascivious acts with a 12-year-old girl. He spent 3 years in prison. Upon his release in 2004, he had to register as a sex offender in California, but when he came back to Guam last year, he did not register here as required by law. Cepeda apologized to Judge Francis Tadingo Gatewood yesterday in court and to the people of Guam. His name has now been added to the Guam Sex Offender Registry. 33-year-old Gavin Regis Duenas sentenced to 7 years, 3 months in a federal prison yesterday in district court after pleading guilty to attempted possession of 6 pounds of methamphetamine. According to his plea agreement, Duenas picked up 2 priority mail packages that originally had 3 pounds of methamphetamine inside. The packages had already been intercepted, however, by Drug Enforcement Agency officers who replaced the meth with a sham drug and planted a tracking device inside. Duenas told Chief District Court Judge Francis Tadingo Gatewood that he was sorry for his actions. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
News time on The Point is 8:36.
iConnect time. Give them a ring later on, 888-8888, and ask them about how you might be able to get some great internet and mobile plans without forking over an arm and a leg. They really do have some great packages at iConnect.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
Hi, I'm Jerry Roberts, and every day on The Ray Gibson Show, I get to comment on the incredibly diverse, fun, challenging, sometimes frustrating, often exciting, but always interesting world of work. I hope you'll be there with us.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
It's time for Wendy's Bacon Fest. Yes, the place that brought you the Baconator, the place that sells more bacon cheeseburgers than anyone else probably on the planet, is making all your Applewood smoked dreams come true. Try the all-new bacon jalapeno cheeseburger or the bacon double stack in the $5 biggie bag. Get yours now at Wendy's for Bacon Fest.
Parents, start your child's school year right with healthiness and fun. Complete your child's immunizations, annual physical, dental, or eye exam at FHP and receive a free gift for each each exam visit. Perfect for back to school. Valid from July 15 to August 31st or while supplies last. Visit their website or Facebook page for more details. Call 646-5825 and press 2 to schedule an appointment today. Most private insurance accepted. FHP Health Center, our island, your clinic.
And now it's traffic on the point. Not sure why. Back road to Anderson, Route 15, looks a little crowded up there by Manila Golf Course. I don't think a bunch of people want to go golfing today. Anyways, 8, 10, and 16 also still looking crowded, but everything else is pretty much lightening up. Looks like maybe a little bit up by Pica's Cafe, Route 1 going north. And let's see, anything else? Yeah, I think we're doing good. That's right now traffic on the point.
Well, everybody's heard about the bird. The bird, bird, bird.
Circle K has a 3-pound rotisserie chicken, now available for the introductory price of $9.99. It's the biggest, tastiest, and most affordable rotisserie chicken of its kind on island. Save even more by getting a family meal with 2 sides and a bottle of wine for only $25.99. The Circle K rotisserie chicken. Get yours today. Circle K. Take it easy.
Alpha Day, and welcome back to The Point. This is Chris Duenas sitting in for the vacationing Ray Gibson. Eddie Cruz, if you're still watching, this is for you. On Facebook, Eddie Cruz says, "You need to wear a hat, Chris. You're blinding me." Then he laughs. "Sorry, I couldn't resist." Okay, Eddie. You know, I'm not quite professional yet, and that's why I don't got a makeup guy or makeup girl or anybody else, Juan Carlos, and so we'll just have to try to take the shine, maybe even between the hours off. Eddie, thanks for the joke. It's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll have the girl coming in powder.
There you go. See? I'm moving on up. I'm going to have powder tomorrow. Eddie Cruz, go Cowboys. All right. Juan Carlos Benitez, what a treat.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
How are you doing, my friend?
Better now that I'm hanging out with you. Chris, it's been a while, and I always enjoy the company. Really enjoy you as part of the Calvo administration and as one of our senators. You were always a very strong conservative voice. Glad to see you in the air now.
Thanks a lot, Juan Carlos. That means a lot to me. I was born a Republican. My father, Ricardo the late, may rest in peace, a lifetime card-carrying Republican. And, he brought us up that way. And he was very close with the Calvo family, over the years and everything else. So, that's been a legacy, and I enjoyed being able to do that. And my dad enjoyed it too. We had a lot of fun times together. He was a good critic too, which is appropriate for a dad. But I'm glad he brought me up the way he did. And Dad, thanks a lot, and thanks a lot for recognizing the efforts that I've been able to try to help our island, and like you said, in a way that's conservative in nature and tries to maximize our resources. And so you've been doing a few things in Washington. You want to give us an update?
Well, it's a great time to be a Republican, and particularly a Guam Republican. It's we have President Trump in the White House, and we have a very strong Republican Senate. And President, we've been lucky and blessed that he really cares about this area of the world, and he cares about Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, and has taken what I consider to be major steps in improving the relationship between the mainland United States and Guam, and addressing some of the statutes and regulations that have a disparate impact on our population, our people. And at the same time, it's sort of fun to see the conservative policies being implemented nationwide and seeing huge changes.
Besides Clinton, I got to say that President Trump has been the most active with Guam, and I think delivering more. He did promise the governor when she did meet with him and put a few things on the list that you get that bill in Congress to eliminate the matching for Medicaid, and I'll sign it. And he made other commitments when he was of course when the North Korea issue surfaced during the Calvo administration. Not only did he do a FaceTime call with Governor Calvo, reassuring the island of Guam that they were on top of it, and Guam meant everything to the United States to make sure we were protected. Another time when he came by, most presidents fly in and fly out of here. And I remember Governor Calvo telling us the story in senior staff. There's that knock on the door, Gov, we got to go. And he's like, it's a little early in the morning, guys. He's like, no, it's the president. We got to go. And so, Governor was ushered up and got to sit down with President Trump on Air Force One for the refueling stop and kind of bend his ear on some of the issues. So I think you're absolutely right, Juan Carlos. More good things to come, I believe, for Guam from the Trump administration.
Yeah, and some of the things I think people don't notice, but one of the requirements is he's having the cabinet members, as they go to the different regions of the world,
right,
to stop in the territories.
Undersecretary was here, right?
And undersecretaries and secretaries, Secretary of Veteran Affairs. We had Secretary of State stop by on his way to some meetings he had in the region.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get an opportunity to sit with the governor or stand with her. But Trump's really continued this effort even under a Democratic governorship. They basically said we need to have a better communications and a better relationship with these territories.
Sure.
And there are issues that if they're not fair, they need to be addressed. And war reparations is a really good example of how that's been working. He's working with the congressman. He's working with the governor in looking at what they want to do and trying to find solutions to get them through. And his commitment is I've never seen anything like this from a White House on a local, what's really a local issue.
I want to give kudos to the governor's office on this one, because every time I see releases, every time I see representations from high-level persons at the front office, special assistants, chief of staff, the others, they always are very forthright. And we're working with the Trump administration. We're working with the Trump administration, and I hope we stay that way throughout, because really, that I give kudos on that level, and as you said, and on the reciprocation side, the president seems to be, that's not an issue. It's the territory of Guam. It's very important to the United States, and I think he's upping our relationship and in a nonpartisan fashion.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're getting also is he's keeping us up to date on what's happening in our region, which it's surprising because I've been doing the Republican side for a very long time, and I've never gotten as many emails and communications of what is happening in a region, not necessarily what's going on in Guam, but like this morning, he left the G7, he did a new agreement with Japan on trade. We immediately got an email from the administration saying, hey, this might be something that you guys would like to know. So I've distributed around. We put it in the website for the Republican Party. We gave it to our senators to let everybody sort of know what's going on in the area.
Sure.
Also with the Medicare matching, he supported the bill that you mentioned before. It got signed into law. That expires this October. I remember
you mentioned that to me in some correspondence we have. So can you elaborate on that a little bit, and are there additional efforts?
Yes, there is a legislative effort which I think is key. We need to make sure that it passes on extending that waiver for 2 more years. And the big concern for me is the driving force for that exception was Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And the problems that they had, and the Virgin Islands with the hurricane.
Yes.
And recovering the island. They said, look, we don't have the 55% match. Can you waive that? And we were very lucky to be included in the group when they did the original waive. It was a good congressional work. But since then, we've had 3 different governors in Puerto Rico. A lot of the lobbying efforts that Puerto Rico do, they spend between $5 to $10 million a year in a sea of lobbyists in D.C. that make sure that they take care of all the issues that affect the island. And I think if you went to D.C. today and asked anybody, do they know who the Ricky Rosselló is, most of them would say, I've never met that guy. I know we were hired by the Department of Education of Puerto Rico, but we never talked to the governor, the governor's office, or the representative. And And it is a natural reaction after what happened with Abramoff in D.C. But it also means that Guam needs to take the laboring oar to make sure that that bill passes. If it doesn't pass, we're going to have a big problem coming up here because the Medicaid matching used to be 45, 55.
Right.
But now it flipped. And now it becomes 55, 45.
Wow, so it's going up by 10%.
It's going up. It's going up, and it's something that I'm sure as we go through our budget, I don't see it. I don't see the matching being segregated and separated there in case this bill doesn't pass into law. And again, October is coming. It's coming real fast.
So Juan Carlos, you're listening to Juan Carlos Benitez, a very active member, I believe executive member of the Republican Party, and he's discussing this issue in Washington that's going to affect Guam. Is it on the congressman's radar?
I'm sure it is. We were not the first one to bring it up to him. In fact, he was involved in the original extension.
Okay.
So my hope is that he's on top of it. But what we found is finding common ground with the governor, the congressman, and the Republicans on certain issues. We can be very successful in D.C. And this is one of those issues that we want to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we're not being distracted by some more local stuff, and we don't forget to give the support that they need.
Delegate Madeline, I think, coined it, and I think it's always appropriate when we talk about Washington. It has to be one Guam.
Yes.
It has to be one Guam. I mean, there is going to be an election. There will be a Republican candidate that is going, I'm sure, to challenge Mike San Nicolas. But the fact of the matter is that for this moment and leading up to any opportunity that we have when we have a person in Congress, it has to be a one Guam approach. I think to do anything less is really negligent.
Yeah. Well, we have one governor, we have one legislature, and we have one congressman.
Absolutely.
And we might have not voted for them. But once they won, we're on the same ship. And if the economy in Guam goes down, we all go down. Our object in the minority is we need to make sure we alert the Democrats of our positions or where we think that there is danger and where we think there's opportunity.
I'm going to switch gears because Madeline coined it. The Democrats right now seem like they need to pick up on the idea of one Guam, particularly when it comes to war claims. How do you see that going, Juan Carlos?
I am very hopeful on San Nicolas legislation. It's now in the Senate. It's in the Judiciary Committee. The reason it's in the Judiciary Committee is San Nicolas bill is not an authorization legislation,
which is probably good, right?
Right.
For scoring purposes, or
well, it still scores the same. But what he wrote was a legislation eliminating the requirement for an authorization. So because it's a technical issue, it went to the Judiciary Committee.
Okay.
And I think they're going to look at it as a technical issue. Secretary of Interior wrote a letter already, and the White House has communicated with the senators. Both of them are very strong in support of the bill, saying, look, this money really goes to the people of Guam anyways. It is time that we take care of this issue, and we should address it, and this White House completely supports this. As I said, the head of Intergovernmental Affairs, and in the White House you have different offices. Political Affairs are the guys that are doing all the politicking. Intergovernmental Affairs are the conduit of interaction between all the state legislatures, all the state mayors, all the state governors, and the White House. And the head of that office is called Doc Holscher. Doc Holscher takes time twice a month to talk to one of our war survivors.
Nice.
Just to update her on how the progress is going, the efforts the administration is doing, and to reassure her, hey, the president's committed on this. We're going to get it done. And my hope is we're going to get it done this year.
Juan Carlos, for the purpose of our listening audience that may not, know and haven't been able to track this bill through Congress, my understanding is it had a very, very successful ride through the committee.
It did. It passed unanimously through the committee,
which is unusual.
Which is unanimous consent. It is very unusual because you normally don't get unanimous consents unless there's no requirement for an offset. Congressional Budget Office, which is not the administration's budget office, is the Congress Budget Office, had scored this bill as having, I think, $42 million cost or potential cost.
Potential cost, yeah.
And the House was willing to waive that requirement to offset, and they did it seen as a unanimous consent motion on the committee, and then it went to a vote on the floor, and it was unanimous. It was every single member of Congress voted in favor of this, and I'm talking like the AOCs of the world to the Ron Paul followers and section
Ron
of
Paul,
town.
He was trying to stop the firefighters and the 9/11.
Yeah, and to put it into perspective, the hurricane relief bill, which was affecting Texas, Florida, and some of the the Panhandle states, the Republican congressmen objected to a unanimous consent on those bills. They forced a vote on it because they felt so strong about the requirement to show an offset. It says this has a cost. There's no offset to it, so we should have a vote on it. And those same individuals on our issue were willing to say, let's just let it go. And my belief is San Nicolas did a great job with the Democrats, and frankly, President Trump did an incredible job talking to the Republicans and saying, let's just do this.
Take care of these guys. Yeah, absolutely. That's that goodwill just really goes. That diplomacy and goodwill goes a long way. The local effort. Give me some of your thoughts.
Well, it's I hear San Nicolas' concern. It's a legitimate concern. The concern would be if somebody goes to a senator that doesn't support the offset of the funds and says, why are we segregating federal funds to pay for this when they're already paying it from local funds? We don't really need to worry about it. They can just finish doing that. I don't think it's something that I would be more concerned if it wasn't that I know that there's a coordinated effort. The letter from the Secretary of Interior specifically states, hey, we need to do this to pay for these people. And the funds that we're using, it really doesn't have any impact outside of the territory. So on the Republican side, I don't think the Republican senators are going to look at it as an issue that we pass a local legislation. The White House has been working with the governor, as I said before. The Justice Department and the Treasury Department, along with the White House, have all agreed on language and a process that would be viable for
Carlos,
paying this war reparations.
If the local legislation passed tomorrow and there was an account where the funds were loaded, who would we pay?
Well, that's an interesting question. It's a different question. One is it legal and will it have a huge impact in D.C.? I really don't think it's going to have a huge impact in D.C., and it is legal. I think that the structure has been set up for it to be legal. The bigger concern for me is sort of like a political one in nature. The federal government is looking at war reparations it's looking at war reparations with a randomizing program. So that means that the committee gets to review applications not in the order that they were submitted to the committee. So that's why you hear some people saying, wait a second, I submitted on day one and I have not been awarded. And this guy submitted like 2 weeks later. He's my second cousin, and he already got his war reparations notice.
That's going to seem just.
So you have that issue. You have the issue that the committee is meeting regularly, and every time it's meeting in D.C., it's approving more. So you might end up having $7.5 million, which is the cap of the local legislation, available for war claims, but you might have more war claims that have been awarded than that amount of money. And then the decision comes, how do you decide who to pick out of that group?
You know, Juan Carlos Benitez, we're getting to the top. I'm here all week. If you want to stop in later in the week, you're happy to do so. I guess I'm going to close with a hot point. When I was in the legislature and we got additional funds from Section 30 and we appropriated for it, bills, and we introduced bills to appropriate it, my good friend, Speaker B.J. Cruz said, cut the politics, cut the checks. Why didn't we just take all of our Section 30 and cut the checks ourselves if we were going to pay it this way anyways?
It's a good point. We should have. Part of the problem is that most of our Section 30 funds are already committed to bonds that the government has already issued. So they don't really have a lot of discretion. If there's any money that she finds out of Section 30 right now, it's going to be the money that they had segregated to pay for the matching for Medicaid, Medicare funding. Since they don't have to do that till October, there's some money there. And I think part of it is the expectation that this other bill will make it through the House and Senate.
I just say that since we already got at least to first base, which said we've codified and clarified the amount, and any amount above that, when that was benchmarked to that fiscal year, is going to our claims, and they're collecting it now anyways. I don't know why we didn't just take the whole lock, stock, and barrel of money and set up a mechanism to pay it out every time we had money when they sent us over who were the recipients and explained, this is the way they do it. It's not first in, first out. We're doing the best we can.
Amen.
And on that, we've had a great morning here on The Point. Juan Carlos Benitez, always a pleasure. You're welcome throughout the rest of the week. If you got some other updates, Republican issues, Guam issues, Juan Carlos Benitez issues, welcome aboard.
Will do.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. And you've been listening to Ray Gibson with Chris Duenas. This is The Point.
You're listening to KUSG Hagatmia.
A giant drug maker held accountable for helping to fuel the opioid crisis. I'm Pam Puso, Fox News. That ruling in Oklahoma where Johnson & Johnson has been ordered to pay more than $500,000.
The Oklahoma Attorney General says this verdict means his team was successful in proving how Johnson & Johnson used, quote, pseudoscience and deceptive marketing practices, downplaying how addictive these prescription painkillers were and pushing doctors to prescribe more just to boost profits.
Fox's Casey Stiegel, lawyers for Johnson & Johnson, are planning an appeal.
We are disappointed and disagree with the judge's decision. We believe that it is flawed.
Oklahoma's Attorney General says opioid overdoses killed more than 4,600 people from 2007 to 2017. If an accused gunman in Pennsylvania is found guilty, federal prosecutors say he'll face the death penalty. Robert Bowers is accused of killing 11 people last year at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh.
Bowers pleaded not guilty to attacking the Tree of Life Synagogue, killing members and wounding police officers at the same time. President Trump weighed in, saying the shooter should pay the ultimate price.